We're streaming. We're
So
live.
honest.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay. How many people do you usually get during stream?
Highest I got
A
was
few.
I think 7 at one
Good
point.
enough.
I mean, that's not counting 2 years ago where I got 40 viewers at once, but that was because I got rated.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah, it still shows up
So
as my
rated by-
record on my
Booyah!
Twitch
Oh
dashboard.
my god.
What's up, bro?
Look,
I think he's dead.
No.
Remember?
That
Carl
Danny?
said he'll buy you something.
Oh, okay. You titled it "I Love Terrorism."
Are you serious?
I don't know. I just got a notification saying "I love terrorism."
Yes, it says I love terrorism.
It does.
No.
Great job, dumbass.
What is Carl saying in the chat right now?
He's offering to buy me a game.
Take the offer. Come on.
I don't know whether
You're
to
only-
trust him though.
Your very first
Amazing
Twitch
job,
viewer gives you a
actually.
game. Come on, take it.
Oh my fucking god.
You're really not gonna take the offer?
I mean, I don't know
He's
what
not
fucking.
good at Twitch ever today.
Under $20 though. Come on.
Let's see. How much does American Truck Simulator cost right now?
Come on,
Oh
get
my
a better
god.
game.
American Truck Simulator. You said under $20.
Danny?
What if it's exactly $20?
Isn't there like a filter for like how much it costs, right?
Well, I mean, the game is $19.99, but that's not counting tax.
That works. Ugh, you gotta pay for tax? What a loser.
Imagine
Wow,
paying
my
taxes.
character
Do you use
is
Greenlight?
really stupid.
Exactly.
Carl,
You
do
are
you have a
so
Greenlight debit card?
lucky. You're so wonderful and
I think I
cuddly and
recognize that font.
Bum, bum.
Maybe.
Danny,
trying to bite me.
you are so real.
Ah! Don't
My
bite
cat
me,
does it all the time. Oh my god.
you big fat weenie.
Did you figure out a name for your cat yet?
No, not yet.
You have a cat? When did you get a cat? I thought you hated cats.
I didn't
Carl,
eat cats. What do
what's
you,
your
who do you
Steam?
think I am, huh?
A cat hater, clearly.
No, I don't eat
Carl,
cats. or
friend me
dogs.
on Steam.
Calm down.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
You don't sound very sure.
I have a cat right here next to me if you want to see. He's alive and well, healthy at that.
Hmm.
He's just
Yes,
playing
please.
around. All right, let me share my screen. How do I do this? Oh, I'm stupid. Wait. Oh, there. Hi.
Oh my god, it's
Hi,
purple
Daniel.
guy.
Scooby Doo.
Wait, how do I?
Guys.
Oh, there it is. No.
You're not the car.
I'm not showing it on stream, Carl. Don't worry.
What is Jesse doing?
Read
Probably
chat.
something silly. I'm not
Okay.
reading
I'll
chat
read.
right
I'll
now.
read the chat. I'll read the chat.
Can you get
I'll
me
read
a
it out loud.
monster and I'll get you something you want? All I have is purple monsters. So
You're so tiny and wonderful.
did
You
you
know
call
that?
me a schlongus?
What?
Someone Jedi called me a schlongus in chat.
Fuck is this
Jedi.
longest?
I don't know.
Bro, imagine being the schlongest. Couldn't be me.
In stream chat?
Yeah.
Bro, get owned.
That's your new nickname, Schlongest.
I should call him a slur.
You're gonna get a
Carl,
ban.
do you have the same profile picture on fucking everything?
I'm joking.
You're gonna ban.
Kitty.
So fluffy, so cuddly, so
Alejandro.
fluffy.
Yeah.
You may have a bunch of games, but do you have the Lego Batman trilogy? I don't think so.
Mm, I have Lego
Fair
Ninjago.
point.
Bitch.
I have the Lego Movie video game.
Wow.
You got quiet fast.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Steam right now. Ah,
It'd be like that sometimes.
what? Why?
I got
Why is
6
this
viewers. Damn.
Why is this trending?
Why are so many people
What?
paying attention to me?
Cause your stream.
Scooby Dooby Doo.
Shut up. There's a game trending, or what I see is called Love and Sex: The Second Base. I don't like
Oh, wait.
that.
Chia pet? Did you just say I look like a chia pet?
What?
Motherfucker.
What's your Roblox name?
My Roblox name? It's literally just my Twitch name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Bacon is here, guys! Bacon is here!
Huh?
Jesse, why don't you go fuck yourself? Why did everyone go? I fucking hate my
He's
Jesus.
back. Oh my gosh.
I hate my fucking Wi-Fi so much.
Yeah, no, I could tell. I literally opened
Yeah.
Twitch and
told you.
your stream died.
Dude, I literally...
Damn.
13 people? Wait, I had
13
13 viewers? Wait,
Jesus Christ.
wait,
You're like right as your shit went down.
of course it did. Of course it did. Just my luck. God
Viewers go
damn
up,
it.
Wi-Fi go down.
Realness.
This is such a bro moment, guys.
It is.
For real, for real.
For wheel, for wheel.
For realsies.
Oh shit.
Oh, wait.
For real.
Oh, game.
Huh?
Game. Carl gave me a game
What?
for real. He wasn't
Oh,
lying.
really?
Carl gave you a game?
What
He
is it?
wasn't lying.
What is it?
Oh my god.
What
Dude.
game you get?
Crab Champions.
American truck driving.
Oh my god, I've
What?
seen that on.
Oh,
I've
that
seen that
game?
streamed
I don't know
all
what
over
this game
TikTok.
is.
What
It
is
seems
that?
so cringe.
Crab Champions.
It's
Oh,
like
it's
a
a crab. You
wave
play as a
type
crab and
thing.
shoot people? That sounds awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
Sounds like me every day.
Actually, it's not
Real
even
nice.
people. It's like just blobs of character. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean,
I am a frustration.
All right, now Alejandro, be grateful to Carl. Your very first Twitch.
Carl, I
Twitch
love you.
Kind of thing.
in the game.
I'm going to play the
You
game now.
bottom feeder. What, Jedi?
What the fuck?
Come on, Jedi. Be
Why
nice to
would
him.
you
just got a
call
free
me
game.
that? I'm gonna cry live on stream.
I do not have a call me Carson moment. Crashing.
Oh my
Okay, I gotta
gosh, viewer
change the
count is
stream
going up
category
now.
to crab champions now.
Block
I wasn't gonna be
Cookie,
able to
I think
play
your
with you
stream's
anyway.
delayed
This
by a
game hates
lot.
me.
Crab moment.
Tag.
What?
What?
What'd you say?
Huh?
Did you just say
Huh?
a slur?
We just heard you.
No?
Wow,
Nuh-uh.
that's crazy.
Sure, sure.
It was just something
I'm so
completely
disappointed.
different.
Imagine saying a
Chloe.
slur live on stream.
Nuh-uh.
That'd be so retarded.
Your Honor, my client clearly didn't do it because she said no.
Your Honor,
So-
nuh-uh.
Mhm.
Your
I
Honor,
thought
it's clearly a
being
goof.
lawyer-
She
Real, like,
she
I'm sorry guys, let me bring out my electric guitar, I'm sorry.
she was too much of a goofball,
Damn.
and that's why
Does
a
this
family
game
of four
support
is banned.
controllers? What the fuck? No, where's my OBS window? Shit.
Dude, oh my god. Oh my god. Holy
Oh
shit,
my
my lights
God.
went out.
Really?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
care.
about to... No,
Oh,
please,
okay.
I'm gonna
I
die.
see you, but-
She's almost she's so close to 6 a.m.
Can you
He's
guys see
Real,
Crab
it's only,
Champions?
what, it's 9?
Oh, it works with the controller.
W.
Oh my god. You're a little guy. You're a little guy, oh my god.
I'm a little guy.
Little crab guy.
My controller don't work.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Okay, so right
Little
bumper
crabby
throws a
dude.
grenade.
Oh my god.
Wait, you got a raid?
Wait, did I get a raid?
Did you?
Did
Did
I?
you get a raid?
I
Someone's-
heard raid.
I don't know.
I don't know. Hold on,
I'm
let me.
confused.
Oh.
I'm playing Fall Guys because I'm weird. I'm crazy.
Imagine.
I have no good games right now. Like, it's concerning.
I thought we were gonna play Minecraft. I mean, no. Roblox. Roblox.
I was, but I
Ro-
could
Roblo-
not add.
Roblox.
I could not add him.
In life, there is Roblox.
Life is Roblox.
Life is Roblox.
All right.
On Discord, I put that as my pronoun thing.
Hold on. Give me a second.
No. Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so good.
Wait, in the game there's copyrighted music?
Well,
He's gone.
I'm gonna play Minecraft while that happens. Tell me when you're gonna play Roblox.
Do you have me added on Roblox?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright.
Oh,
I'll
Roblox.
play you
No,
then. I'll play with you then.
on Roblox.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I have Daniel added.
Oh, I
I
have
don't
Daniel added
have
too then.
anybody
So that's
added.
okay. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'll DM you my Roblox.
Okay.
Okay.
Grr.
Anger.
No,
Pure,
grr, like
pure,
grr, like
pure
Oh my
anger.
god, these
rah.
people are so bad at this game.
Rah.
You're angry.
Jedi, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no sex DLC.
I'm sorry?
What the fuck?
What is up with Jedi today?
Sex DLC apparently. You figured out what your password was? Did you get locked out of your Twitch account?
Sucks this up.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Wait, is it Monkey Carl?
Yes.
Carl, that kills people.
That was my show. Oh, new follower. Hello
Is
there.
Mr.
Man.
Streamer enjoying
New
his
follower.
new
Oh my
game?
god.
Oh my
Forgot
God.
how
god.
boring this game is.
Your stream seems nice. No.
It shows any auto modded message in the stream in OBS.
Wait, what?
It shows any auto mod message on stream.
Jesus Christ.
Send me your tag, Mel.
This is goofy as hell.
I'm gonna finish this game of Fall Guys and then I'll play with y'all.
Golf eyes.
Yo, you were playing Fall Guys.
Yeah, I
Fall
know,
Gu-
cringe.
Oh my god.
GFX artist.
I really should not be playing this game.
What's a GFX artist? I'm dumb.
Graphic
I'm silly.
effects. Graphical effects, I believe.
Oh. I know what that means.
I don't know why the word bitch is blocked in chat, honestly. I didn't do that.
Because it's no word.
Yeah, but the F word isn't
Really?
blocked, so.
I got first place.
It's not blocked for
I don't
you
know why I'm
because
so
I
ready.
think it's because you're a moderator. But
No.
my phone is SOS
Only-
only right
yeah.
now.
It's on what only?
SOS only. So,
Oh, your phone.
yeah. Oh, wait, it's back.
Yippee!
I gotta do something for a bit. It might take me a few minutes. And then we will go right back to
Oh my god, flashbang.
stream moment.
So then, do I have to entertain stream for now?
Yeah, I'll put why don't I just put it on Discord and y'all can entertain stream.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sean, do you want to keep your camera on for this?
I really don't care.
All right.
Wait,
cool.
no, I want to check my camera.
There we go. Say hello to
Oh
I
my god, I
stream.
can see us. Why the
I
fuck is
do
green
not
bot
do
in
content.
chat?
I have no idea why Greenbot is here.
Hi, us. Oh my gosh, it's us. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
You are freaking out
Cringe.
unnecessarily. But it's
Mm-mm.
funny. So,
I'm playing Fall Guys.
Realness.
I'm so cringe right now.
imagine.
I am in the
Bro, we
top
can all
10
just play Fall
qualified.
Guys.
You're a
This
con
is my
bitch. I don't
first
know who you
game
are.
on.
Wait, who's that?
I
Is that
installed
Sean?
Fall Guys.
Sean, why are you so
What?
far away from your camera?
Because I have my camera on my like
Why is
TV
the
stand.
how is the audio
and
quality so
I'm
good
laying
then?
on my bed. Because I have an earbud in.
Oh.
Damn.
I'm a smart person.
Fucking
Yeah.
insane.
You just use speakers. That's better.
Silly mode.
Want
Silly
to hear me
moment.
play guitar? I'm still bad at it.
I'm just here eating
Sorry
some
guys, I
chicken.
gotta finish the module for my online
the vibe.
AI course real quick.
What is this? I'm sorry?
What?
I'm taking an online AI course through MIT and I have to finish the module before 10 p.m.
Cool.
Okay.
You only
Alright.
I don't know
have
how I
40
feel about
minutes to do that.
Yeah, but it's just answering like 5 questions. So
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
multiple choice. I'll be fine.
Your viewers are getting
Oh.
bored. They're gonna
I'm
unfollow
sorry,
you.
viewers. I am so sorry. I apologize profusely.
Yeah,
This
right.
doesn't
You don't care
usually
about them.
happen.
Yeah.
Why
the
would you
only
Yeah,
say
you
person
that
don't
to
care
I'm
me?
sorry about
How
is
dare
Jedi.
you?
Jedi's mean.
I can't see chat right now. I have no idea what they're saying, actually.
He said we're fucking
I can't
clowns.
either.
What?
What?
Where's translator?
Takes one to know one.
Yeah, real bitch.
Especially you, Jedi.
Oh.
I don't know if you're still here. I am being so cringe right now. I'm actually winning this Fall Guys game.
Is it still fun? Because
No,
I
not
like
at
it when
all.
it's like
They
irrelevant.
added custom games. Like people
Oh yeah, I
made
heard
their
about
own
that.
maps.
I'm
I
just playing
should not
Roblox
win
right
this.
now while I'm waiting.
I lost. I lost.
Basement. Yeah.
A group of
His
clowns.
rage.
Man, you're a goofy goober.
Uh,
Who said that?
let me show you this.
I still
I
love
don't
how it
know
shows
how I
every
won this.
every message through automod on the stream.
That kind
Can
of
you see
sounds
that?
terrible.
It's hilarious
This
though.
was my first game. It's my first game. How did I win first game?
Imagine. I played it on my Xbox once. Or not
I
my
am playing
Xbox, I
on
meant
my
my
Xbox.
Switch.
You know what? I'm gonna sit on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor now.
Jesus Christ, I suck.
I'm gonna play Crab Champions. And it's
Who's
gonna be
that?
goofy.
Those are ugly. I'm gonna wear them.
Are you actually Oh my fucking god. Carl.
I'm gone.
Guys, Carl is the gamer now.
Oh my god.
People. I'm sorry. I keep on
Are
saying.
you sure you want to let Carl do that?
I mean, it's just a mobile game. I don't
This is so impressive.
This is some
Um,
Subway Surfers energy here.
Yeah, it really is.
Bubway Buffers.
What's happening? Huh?
Subway Borfers?
Bubway
You really
Buffers.
brought my attention back with this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bubway Buffers.
I don't know what to play. This is cringe.
Bubway Buffers.
What?
Bubway
Well, you know what could
Buffers.
be better? Keys. Jingling
Bubway
keys.
Oh,
Bubway Buffers. Bubway
Stop it with the.
Buffers.
Shut up!
Why do you keep on saying the same thing over and over and over
Because it's
again?
funny.
No. No, because
Remember, everyone. First impressions matter for the stream.
Oh, you're on an iPhone. Oh, you do use green light. I knew it.
Use what?
He uses.
Oh, there's
he
Subway
has a
Surfers.
gr-
Let's go.
He has a green light debit card. I recognized the font when he sent the screenshot
you're
because I
telling
used
him
the
on
same
fucking
thing.
stream. This is stream.
I don't think you should say that on stream.
Yeah, dude. The green that doesn't give away any information. If it did, I wouldn't have said it. It doesn't give away any valuable information.
Sure, it's just a card.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know anything about any of that. I'm dumb. We know this. I'm dumb.
Daniel.
Case in point, I'm about to play Rocket League.
Oh,
What did I do?
you poor
Huh?
soul. Dude, I haven't played Rocket League in years.
Dude, I don't know what to play, so I'm just going through my games. Oh, I'm gone
We're gonna play
again.
Roblox soon, so
Continue.
Yeah, I'm just playing Roblox.
I want to play Roblox,
Evaluation.
but I cannot add any of you.
eh.
Do it on your phone. Do it from your phone.
Dude,
True.
I'm just gonna answer 4 on all of these because it's not even like a multiple choice like correct answer thing. It's like one of those like when we would answer questions about the teachers in Avid.
Oh,
Uh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Straight zeros. You suck. I'm just kidding.
I would just straight up not do them. Dude, I almost failed the free period class.
How do you
I-
fail
I had
Avid?
like a, I had like a 69
How?
for like the
Nice.
year.
How?
Dude, they gave me a coloring sheet.
Because they
Come
didn't
on.
do
It's
anything.
not that hard.
You're basically in kindergarten in that class.
I
Fair,
know.
at least I'm passing.
Well, I mean, Daniel, we were in the special ed
was never
class,
there.
weren't we?
Exactly.
Both of you were in the
Free
special ed
grades.
class.
We were both in the special ed class.
Free grades, bro. What do you mean?
Me and Mel were in the same Avid class. It was pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
Some weird stuff happened.
Oh my god, like when Jacob said pussy fart out loud.
Yeah, and I
But-
kept on
huh?
saying queef. And I kept on yelling out, queef, man, it's called queef. And Krello just kept on laughing.
War?
Mel, I added you
War?
on Roblox.
Okay.
Oh,
Small group discussion. I don't want to discuss with these people. The thing about this course that I'm taking is the fact that most of the people taking this course are actually. Are you going to?
You're going through your DMs. What?
What are you doing? Are you going to get me banned?
oh.
Carl.
I'm terrified.
Carl.
What the fuck are you doing?
Wait, what's
Dude,
going
check
on?
your
You have to be careful.
notifications.
What is going on there? I'm so confused.
Going through literal DMs.
How are y'all seeing that?
Through
He's
Because
Discord.
he's
streaming it.
streaming his screen. Bro uses Verizon and is on a VPN.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, the thing about this class is that most of these people that are in this class have had a job for longer than I've been alive. Like, I'm not really supposed to be in. Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. What a message.
Say,
Wow.
Bitch.
Carl, you have some wholesome friends.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm gonna do that.
I feel like
Jesus Christ.
I don't trust it. I don't
I feel like we should not be streaming this.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, let me just
Oh.
go back to
yeah, maybe not.
more talking.
Maybe not when Carl's here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but like most of the people in this class are like actual adults with like careers and like businesses.
And you're a boy who's
and I'm
you're a
not.
boy
I'm
just
not. I'm
dreaming.
17 years old. I don't have any of those things.
You're just a boy with a dream.
Exactly.
A weird
I'm just a
dream.
boy with a dream.
Man, I thought this would be 5 questions. Come on, you're taking too long.
Yeah, it ended up being 23, but I finished them. So
good.
I'm gonna close the laptop. Okay, gaming time.
Time to play. We have to file our taxes. Let's go.
Are you getting a
Oh, yeah.
call during?
How do I leave this stream? I don't understand. This game, this Discord is weird.
Is
Carl, no, that's the end.
Oh, goo goo gaga.
Shut up. Googa.
Is it this button? It is that button. I thought I was about to leave the call when I said that.
Hold on. Let me There we go. That might help a bit.
That's better.
The frame rate. Will this help the frame rate if I? The frame rate is ass right now. Hold on. What the fuck? What is wrong with the frame rate?
Should I turn my light on? I feel like I should turn my light on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that
I'm gonna turn my light
drastically improved actually. Guys, I'm like this. I'm like so close to new run. What does this mean? Enter enter portal.
Oh my god, my Xbox is about to explode.
That's what gaming.
Holy crap. This is what the founding fathers fought for.
Realness.
Oh, Mel, you heard me say I added you, right?
Oh, I forgot. I forgot to add you back.
I pour gore.
I forgot. It's not my
No, you
fault.
didn't
I'm
even-
just a girl, guys. I'm just a girl.
You didn't even send me your tag when I asked you like
Me?
20. Yeah.
I'm just a
I
girl.
find it
What do
funny
you
that
want
pretty
from
much
me?
you can only see my hands.
16
This
hours of
portal
grinding
is
is
wild.
crazy, actually. No, it's not. I'm
That's
lying.
insane.
I've done more than that.
Who left? Oh. Why do I hit
Oh
my
my
door
God.
when I do that?
Guys, I'm gaming so hard right now.
Holy crap. Lois, I'm coming.
Realness.
No,
Oh my
don't,
god, no.
I'm
don't say that.
Lois.
Stop.
Carl,
Don't
what
say
did you
that.
just
Oh,
say in
no.
my chat? I'm sorry, Carl, what the fuck?
Why is that
What did I
allowed?
say?
Why is that allowed, but the word
Oh
bitch
my God.
isn't?
Wait, what did he say?
I feel required to look at this.
One message was
I
deleted
took
by
it
a
off.
moderator.
By a moderator.
Okay, yeah, good on you,
I
good
did
on
it.
you
I
for
took
that.
it off. I took it off.
I wanted
Can
to
I
see
get
what it
$5?
was.
Wait, this isn't Discord. What do you mean?
Mel, private message me. What did he say?
It was the word rape with the drilling emoji.
Oh my god.
Oh.
You ain't gotta say it out loud, man.
Who even is
Okay.
Carl?
That's why I said
He
private
asked
message.
wanted to know.
Our first viewer.
I've
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
I'll do that next
never.
First random Twitch viewer, Carl. Also
wait,
managed to
who-
infiltrate the Discord server.
How?
I think that was
Bro,
your
someone
fault.
invited him. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Wait, so
I invited him.
Carl's
I
just
was
a random
bored.
person?
Jesus, what the
So
fuck?
quick to come out or what?
He gave me a game. I'm
Alejandro. It's
Dude,
like,
but again, at the end of the day, he also said that.
yeah,
like
he
if-
said
if
worse
fighting
and we
Osama bin
didn't
Laden.
yell at him for it, so
it's like inviting Osama bin Laden for like tea or something. Jesus.
What the fuck are you, the queen?
last I checked Carl didn't do 9/11, so
But he does support
Carl's
it.
posted some weird stuff in Discord. Don't forget that Roblox gift.
I know.
yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Are either of you two going to the thing tomorrow?
Who?
Danny or I don't know the other person's name.
Udio.
Sorry, I forgot to tell you. I
Yeah,
couldn't go. Sorry.
Maybe I still need to ask my dad.
Okay.
Wait, if you do, can you ask him if I can get a ride?
Sure. Fuck.
Thank you
Scooby-Doo.
so much, Pookie.
What?
Also, I need to talk to you later.
Sorry, my Discord is acting up. What you say?
I'm gonna DM you later.
Okay.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Oh my
We are in Korea.
After stream.
Okay.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Wait, what?
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
I was about to give him.
What do you mean slide? What the fuck is slide? How do you how do I
There's
see
probably a
Scooby-Doo.
button slide if you're
Fucking
curious.
look.
Whoa.
What
I'm
happened?
just playing some random lobby I found on Roblox
oh-
right now.
Yeah, but
I'm
I
playing
don't know
Phantom
what
Forces.
crouch. How do I crouch?
Discord and I see Sean on the floor.
I have no clue what you just said.
Look at
Huh?
how funny it looks
Oh.
when I throw a grenade.
That's goofy.
I know, right?
Oh my god, it's so hilarious.
Stop eating plastic. What are you doing?
Huh?
You can't make me stop eating
Don't
plastic,
eat plastic.
Daniel.
Oh, it's his pet.
I can't be eating plastic bags.
My name is Francis, and I'm here to dance.
Ooh, eh. Ooh, eh. Wait.
Number one.
My heart. I love her.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
Did y'all see my Instagram story a couple days ago?
Oh, speaking of Instagram, should I
I had
post
my
again?
first,
Should I advertise
Sure.
again?
probably. I posted that I had my first cheeseburger a couple days ago.
Have you seriously not eaten a cheeseburger before that?
Sean, I think you're an
No,
alien. 'Cause no way that's the first time eating cheeseburger.
I don't eat different things very much.
Sean eats like he's a refugee.
Yeah, I don't eat
What
very
the
much
hell?
different stuff. I'm not even
How?
kidding.
What?
Like a
I eat,
refugee.
I think I have you
I eat ramen
Block.
almost every day.
still. Good. You have this like what?
Like, I always eat ramen, noodles, stuff like that. But like, I went to a party, right?
Yep.
And I tasted the cheeseburger, and I was like, this is okay. And then I went to go get a cheeseburger from an actual cheeseburger place. I was like, I have to eat
Wait,
this more.
wait, where'd you get it?
I can't remember. It was an old school type place.
But
Near my house.
Sean, the way you eat stuff,
Oh,
it
you're
sounds
that
like
kind of picky. Jesus Christ.
Sean, the way you
Do you guys know how
describe,
to unblock people?
That is a hilarious question.
On what?
no, but Sean, the way you describe eating stuff sounds like a grain of salt can kill you.
No, I have a lot of salt, so probably not.
Wait, it's so
no,
Jesus
you-
Christ.
You go into your settings and you can search, I'm pretty sure, block list. I already knew you blocked me, so.
Oh, hold on. Let me check direct messages. I don't know what that means, but that is a big number. Good job, Carl.
What?
Question.
Huh?
He
How
showed
do
me
you unblock people?
on what?
You go into
Found it. Never mind.
on what?
Did you not know how to unblock people?
No.
On which app? Am I just being ignored now?
Huh?
Oh,
Maybe.
What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
no,
Sean.
check your DM. on Instagram.
How would we forget about you, Sean? Come on.
What?
Sean,
How would we forget about you? Come on.
Shawnee, come on, my boy.
Literally,
Sean-
I have only gone out in public with y'all once,
Fuck.
That's true. That's true.
That was
which is a problem. I should
Horrible.
probably go out more because
Yeah.
I don't do that a lot.
This summer has been.
Yeah, you should go. I was gonna
Summer
say you
has
should
been
go
so
tomorrow,
fun.
but you literally planned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I planned it to do something with Alejandro and one of my online friends that I met a couple weeks ago.
I was
But,
gonna say that's a terrible fucking idea.
yeah, but I invited Alejandro.
but it was
And
also
she
apparently a
invited her
woman,
brother.
so
A woman.
I literally
Oh.
just said,
who's sneezing?
What happened?
Shut up.
Bless you.
Like a grown
I don't know
woman.
what's going on. There's a lot being said right now.
I am asking if your online friend is a grown woman.
Other
No.
follower.
Whoa! Followers!
You said a woman, and I was like, a grown woman? Like an adult?
Alejandro said a woman. I said nothing of the
An
sort.
online
so
friend.
I can't really say anything.
Goofy goober moment.
My
I
goofy
just
goober
killed.
moment.
I can't say that on stream. I just died 2 times in the same way.
My goofy goober moment was bombing the Pentagon.
Huh? Your mom.
John,
Yeah.
is this person going tomorrow?
No, she had to do something.
To go to work.
To her
No,
job for grown adults.
No, she. No. She works night shift.
She works at Old Town.
That's even worse!
What do you mean? I worked night shifts last year.
Oh my god, is your friend Vanny from
I
Five
am
Nights
at
at Freddy's?
1% health.
She's 5 minutes at
What the
Freddy's.
hell?
She's the
Vanny
woman.
from Security Breach.
Yeah.
Oh, she
The
works at a
only woman in the
Waterburger,
entire show. I mean, game shit.
which is funny, but
I did it! Cleared Island 2! With 1
That's
health
what the-
left, but you know,
How many islands are there?
I have no idea.
I was gonna say smile, guys. That might be real, but oh my god.
Read chat. No, I'm not playing Rust. I'm sorry. I'm not playing Rust.
You gotta
Rest
play.
is
Even
friends.
if you buy it for me, I'm not gonna play the game.
Thank you, but
Why?
no.
Exactly.
because Rust is so
I have to
cringe.
decline.
The
I will just
community
not
is
redeem the
so
gift. I'm
bad when you
sorry.
first join. Like, just don't do it. I
I,
just
like-
died again.
Save your soul and don't play Rust.
Yeah, isn't Rust like a really grindy game?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Also,
it's
Rust-
like Minecraft, but on steroids.
Rust
I
is
can't wait-
considered the devil's work in the Bible.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
can't
there
wait to
should
take
be
years
like
off my
10
life to clear this clear and die.
10 islands, I
It
think.
was made on God's day off.
Alejandro, are we playing? Yeah, Alejandro, are we playing Roblox or not?
I'm playing Crab Champions. Have you not been paying attention?
Nobody has that game.
Yeah. And why would
We
we have
need
that game?
multiplayer games,
Why would we want
Mr.
to play that
Streamer.
game? I mean,
Come
technically
on.
it's multiplayer, but nobody's gonna play that. None of us have
I'm just
that.
playing Roblox. I'm playing Phantom Forces because I.
I died.
Sucker.
The president died.
I love how I
Wait.
misspelled affiliate in my follower goal.
Yeah.
Why did I
Just
only
waiting
just
for you to
notice
figure
that
that
after
out.
like 4 days?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to
Yeah.
to figure that out the entire time, but you never did.
Wait, what happened?
Like, what?
Affiliate.
How did-
Affiliate.
Oh. I have been playing this obby for like not even that long and I already beat it.
Carl, I'm gonna play this game more off stream. But right now,
Roblox is waiting.
You gotta give the people what they want.
Roblox.
It's just what DJ
Roblox.
Khaled said. In life, you have
Life-
Roblox.
Life is Roblox.
In life, you have Roblox.
Roblox.
And you also got your Ford F-150.
Alright, silly games.
Wait, Daniel, can you add me or something?
Haven't I friended you already?
Yeah, but just like tell me what game you're gonna play.
Oh, I have to decide what we can all play together. So,
Oh my! I'm
I
on
just
the
left
home.
the random game I
I'm
was
on the
playing.
homepage, and for my recommendation, there's a tycoon called Get Cancelled, and it's like a Colleen Ballinger.
Dude, I love that
Picture?
game.
my God.
I love getting.
my
I
God.
love Get Cancelled Tycoon.
It's really easy.
Okay, which one we do? I'm
Alec,
just
can
gonna
you tell
join
me
after
what's the
Bell
first
joins.
thing you see for 17 plus games? Box?
On
Oh,
what?
you want me to wait? Is it?
There's a
Yeah, I want to
section
see
called
what you find
Panicking
when you
Bell
first open
Games?
the game.
Oh, it's too zoomed out. Hold on.
I don't know.
All the trees
A
are
corn
green.
game. I'm sorry, Carl. I won't accept the gift. You're not.
Is he trying to gift you Rust?
No, he's trying to give me porn.
Oh,
More of it.
okay.
At least that's what I'm assuming he means by corn game.
Escape Ice Spice Obi. Oh my god.
Oh, that's a
Ew.
thing?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You know, it's Roblox. Why would it not be a thing? But like,
Yeah,
Gross.
that.
I just found another one that says be a dad and get milk simulator.
Dream YouTuber.
Dream YouTuber. Dream YouTuber.
Alright. Why is he fun? Why is he Obama?
Obama.
Obama. Oh wait, Alex is Obama.
Exactly.
Is that Obama? Oh my god, it's Obama.
Obunga. Wait, no, that's
Obumna.
not Obunga. Search up Obunga. That's not him.
Obumna.
Um, Obama bin Laden. I'm sorry.
Obama bim bobbim.
Obama bitch moving.
Obama bim bobbim. All
Mel,
right,
just
what?
in case you're not
Oh
like
my god, it's Zach.
aware, you are muted.
Wait, Alejandro, can I add you as a friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
My
I, f- I
username is
saw it.
right
I
there.
see. I see it. I know. I see it.
Okay, bro.
Broski.
There goes
Is-
Zach.
Is that you that just sent that?
What?
Oh yeah, Mr.
Sent what?
You misspelled galaxy, by the way.
I know I'm illiterate.
You wrote galaxy.
Galaxy.
Galxai. It's special because I'm special. Yeah, I'm basic. Whatever. Whatever.
Whatever.
I
It's
love
who I
that
am.
McCartney meme.
All right, what?
This game is terrible. Not happening. I'm leaving.
The Rock in Arm Wrestle Simulator.
You know, I see that.
Oh,
Yeah,
here
I
we
saw
go.
that.
Exclusive for ages 17 plus. Why is Fight Andrew Tate in here? They have a 17 plus
Let's do
version
that
of,
one. We should do that
Please
one.
Donate. Are you
We should
kidding?
really do that one.
Why is Pet Simulator in 17 plus? What?
I'm terrified.
What type of pet simulator are we? What is going on here?
One person is active in this fucking game right now.
What?
One person
You should
is...
definitely not join that game then.
Yeah. I don't want to be left alone with...
Jesus.
Bro just died.
What? Who is that?
But the fact that their memorial is 17 plus.
What? That's so dumb. Who did that?
I didn't even realize it shows why. Oh my god, it shows why it's rated 17 plus.
Wait, why is the Andrew Tate one rated 17 plus? I need to know this. This is
Fight
important
Andrew Tate.
information.
Yeah, let's see this.
This is very important information.
Violence, intense, frequent, blood, realistic,
Mortal
heavy,
Kombat.
crude humor, moderate. All right. Mostly just violence.
We should totally play that one then.
Wait, what
Have
game
you
are
all
we playing?
verified
Sorry,
your age on Roblox?
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not all
I
verified.
have not.
I don't know how to do that. I don't play this game.
Do you
man.
have a government ID? Learner's
Yeah,
permit,
I
you
have a
legit
driver's
need your
license,
ID to
anything like
verify
that.
in Roblox.
I only got a state ID.
That's too
That will
much,
work. That will
dude.
work.
For Roblox.
We are not
that's
playing
too
Fight
much.
Andrew Tate together.
Why not,
We are
man?
not.
What I want to see what
Because he was
17
lazy.
plus
We'd lose against Andrew
please
Tate on
donate is
stream.
for. Romance. Why is
Careful.
romance a factor? Usually instead of romance, it would say like sexual content, not romance. Right? But I mean, no, it's Roblox. That makes sense. Probably just using a
Okay.
different term for it.
I need
Alcohol?
to clarify this. Your gamer tag on Roblox is Real Donut King 123.
Yes.
Lowercase.
I know there are several others. Mine is 123. And
Lowercase.
I'm the one with the shirt that
123.
says to-do list your mom. With your mom scratched out.
I did it lowercase, still didn't show up.
L?
Shut up. I
Wanna play
hate all
Arsenal?
of you.
Oh,
I love how
Arsenal.
all of
I'm-
these
This
games have
game's
like
so
less
relevant.
than 100 players active.
There's got to be some minors in here. I swear.
I
Oh,
mean, there was one
what?
game that had a 13-year-old in
Why
there.
is that on
Remember
your
that?
mind right now?
Yeah,
And then I got banned for a day
dude,
for telling
you
them to
can
get
easily
out.
bypass verification with your parents'
Yeah.
ID.
It's so fucking it's concerning. It's like concerning how easy it is to do.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many pictures of Grimace in my life.
Dude,
17
there's
plus
so
only
many
the
Grimace games
bedroom?
for no reason.
This terrifies me.
Huh.
Let's see what this is.
Oh, there's a furry right there.
Let's not do that.
The bedroom.
I'm kind of curious, actually.
You're
That game is
bi-curious?
funny.
Shut up. Shut up. Wait, they got a Mac. They got a Mac. They have a Mac.
Yo, you can play Roblox on Roblox.
Holy fucking god.
Oh, new follower. Josh just followed.
Oh, egg dog.
Yeah, that's
I'm
Josh,
ju-
the
I'm just gonna put
senior, the
my-
one who just graduated.
I'm just gonna
Yo.
put my user in the Roblox area because I cannot add y'all for the life of me.
All right, let's check this out.
My user was made when I was very young. Do not say anything.
Friend me. I want to see your name first.
I already hate it here. What? I don't know why. Why is this hallway so long? Why is there a message
What?
on the side of the screen saying "Want a gun"?
Huh?
You want a gun?
Promotion.
Want a gun? Boom box?
Oh
Touch
gosh, my
grass?
Xbox is gonna blow up.
Yeah,
Hey,
this is
son.
definitely a child.
Do I have to pay Robux for this
Yeah,
shit?
you have to pay.
Doodly doo doo.
Do 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 do.
Doo doo.
Will you be my friend?
What if he copyrighted doing that and
Look at
the stream
Teddy
just
Bear,
got
that's
taken
awesome.
down?
Oh
That's
my
all you
god,
need.
that'd be hilarious.
I love
Wait, there's a
spending
game
time
called
with
The
you.
Hood.
It talks. It talks. Wait, hold on. Everyone be quiet.
Will you be my friend?
I love you.
He said,
I
"Will you be
love
my
you.
friend?"
Let's be friends.
Bitch.
I love
There's
you.
a game called The Hood.
I love you.
Oh, that one's kind of
I've
boring.
seen
Not gonna
so
lie.
many
Banish,
TikToks about
banish
that one
into
too.
the abyss.
I do not want to play it.
Whoa! What the fuck? Oh, okay. Am I in a torture
Jesus.
dungeon?
17 plus.
Is that SpongeBob SquarePants, the arcade machine?
Play it. Play it.
Let's be friends.
Shut up!
I've seen one of those.
Are you serious? I can't play SpongeBob, but I can play the gambling machine.
Ew, why is that a game?
They encourage you to do gambling on Roblox. It's insane.
There's a game called Don't Get Sniffed.
What happened to Roblox? Take me back to 2015, man. Come on.
I know.
What the hell?
I'm gambling in first-person mode, guys.
That's what's up.
Hell yeah!
Millions.
I love
This is
gambling
it.
in Roblox.
This is a type of grind I would like to
Started
see.
early.
Where's your pen, the gambling one?
Huh? Oh, my gambling
it?
pen.
Yeah.
I don't. Did someone die here? Oh yeah, my pen
What
is
is
in my
going
backpack.
on?
It's in my pencil case that I haven't touched since we left school. Let me turn up my
Wow.
brightness. I can't see shit. There's no
You know
brightness
what?
setting here.
I'm gonna play
Never mind.
Arsenal.
I want to
Dude,
be
these chains aren't even touching the
ninja.
ground, bro.
I want to
Fly,
be ninja.
Bro, they didn't
with
even
my
try. These
chopsticks.
chains aren't
Yeah,
even touching the
that's like
ground.
chopsticks. I'm playing Arsenal also.
I'm dead.
Tell me how it's going. Because I have not touched that game in so long.
I just died.
Arsenal? I completely
yeah,
forgot
Arsenal's like
Arsenal
a-
existed, to be honest.
That was an okay
What?
game.
Repeat that
I
again?
used to
didn't
play
hear you.
it so much.
It's been a while since I played Arsenal.
Yeah, it's super laggy though, so I cannot do anything on it.
There was one game I used to play by I think it was the same developers that made Silent Assassin,
This dude's name is Cope.
and I can't remember what it was called.
Cope
But it
with
was
my
like
shorts.
robots. It was like Phantom Forces if everyone was a robot. And
That's awesome.
I don't remember what it was called though, but it was really fun. Why is this hallway so long?
That's what she said.
Will this hallway ever end? Is my main question now.
That's what she said.
Shut up.
All right.
Oh, explain that to me. I'm genuinely confused.
Okay.
The fact that there are people actually paying for Roblox Premium is insane, by the way.
I know what fucking.
There's a
losers.
Roblox premium. Why?
Did you not know that there was a Roblox Premium?
Builders
Look,
Club.
I don't know a lot of things.
look.
We know.
So
I'm dumb.
you see here the little P symbol next to their names. Can you see it? Or is my my face cam's covering it. Here. That little symbol next to their name means they have premium.
What losers? At least you can publicly shame them.
True.
Yeah. I'm not
Bully children, yes.
literally probably a child, actually. Let me look in chat, actually. Let me just open chat and just be like,
Oh, sorry, my mom said I can't buy any more Fortnite V-Bucks without doing my chores.
Imagine.
That's what the chat's gonna say.
I just scrolled on popular in Roblox. There's something called shadow boxing battles. There's
Shut
no
up.
way that
I'm
they
the
made
ultimate
this
life.
in Roblox.
I'm 19, lol.
I'm 19. I never learned how to fucking read.
Bro, I don't believe that.
Maybe
That-
mine
That's
is
horrible.
10.
That's genuinely depressing.
That a 19-year-old's playing this game? Yeah.
Imagine being 19 and playing games.
Get a fucking life, right?
It really said, huh? Imagine
Finally.
being 19 and playing Roblox.
Crazy to think of. Sorry.
No way this person would.
Okay, I'm done with Roblox.
Guys,
What other cringe
it's
game shall I
a
play?
joke. I was joking. Clam
Sure.
down.
Clam down?
Clam down.
You're so
Ooh,
hilarious.
maybe I should go die in For Honor.
You're gonna die?
For honor.
No, don't die
No
on
way.
stream, man. Come on.
But it's good for views.
But it's for content.
For the clout.
Clearly, you've never seen Logan Paul.
I feel like I should have heard what that
Hold
was.
on, give me
that
a
you
second.
said. Oh my gosh, I can die in Overwatch. Good ideas.
Fucking. Arsenal is such a good game.
Playing one game that we can try out.
Fucking Whatever to Alejandro.
I
No,
didn't even get
I
to
don't
finish
care
my
about it.
workout today
What?
because I got on stream with y'all.
You know, you couldn't just talk to us while working out or something. I don't know what you said.
Good.
I said I didn't even finish my workout because I started playing with y'all.
Well, sorry that. Just sorry. Did
It's
Alejandro
whatever.
did his Wi-Fi crash again?
No, he's
Maybe. He's muted though.
Oh, okay.
I know Mel's doing something, which is why she's muted. Or they're muted.
She's filing her taxes.
Oh.
You know, it's that time of year again. Periods. That's right.
Hole.
Oh,
Yeah. I had to do them a while ago.
I've
Oh my
never done my
god. They're
taxes.
forcing me to play healer. You know what? I'm gonna play Moira specifically to make them mad.
I never done my taxes because I don't have a job.
Oh
I
yeah.
did have it. You still haven't had a job yet?
I know I'm looking for a job. Okay, stop.
I mean, I didn't have a job this summer, which is bad. I was trying to become a barista, but I couldn't get a job.
You're too basic.
No, I'm too young. I tried
No,
for
you
GameStop. I tried for a barista
games.
position.
GameStop would have been such an easy job.
yeah, it is
Exactly,
empty there.
but they require you to be 18, so they ignored me.
Hmm. Mississippi.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh my God! It's the King of
Mike.
FNAF himself.
The what?
Damn it.
Oh
King of
yeah, I
FNAF.
forgot I have FNAF.
Oh God.
Hi guys, we multiplying there. We're gonna be.
I have like all of the FNAF games, except
Wow.
for
The new one.
yeah, except for the new one, and I think I
Security
don't
breach.
have a
Wait,
sister
no.
location.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I don't have the VR one. I don't have the custom night.
Custom night isn't custom night easy. I mean, free.
No, it's like
I thought it was.
$7.
I love you.
I don't know if I have sister location. I know I have the first four.
I also have the first
I
four, except on my phone. So
I have
Wow,
What?
been
you're a
watching
true gamer.
I have been watching way too many lore videos for
You're like
Same.
an
it to be
iPad
okay
kid.
for my health.
the fact that you can even get the first four FNAF games on your phone is ridiculous, but also kind of hilarious.
I need a lore video
Okay,
for
I'm
my
done with
life.
this. I'm playing
I have
Junkrat.
FNAF Wanted and
Oh,
FNAF
Melody's back.
Pizza Simulator.
All I heard was the word FNAF.
Oh,
FNAF,
I
FNAF,
have
FNAF.
Help Wanted and Pizza Simulator. The one where it's
Welp
weird.
bombed.
Oh yeah, I have
You
that
saw
one too.
Welp wanted.
What? Oh my god, that had to be racist.
Racism is always the cure.
Haha.
Okay. God, I'm gonna get arthritis in this game.
Is Overwatch a racist game?
Yes.
I don't know.
Me
Do they
pers-
like openly say the N-word?
Wait, what?
You can actually openly say the N-word at least only once in a PG-13 movie.
I feel like honestly, Valorant is worse in that department.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
without
no.
a doubt.
Yeah,
I have not played Valorant before, and I
I've never
don't
played
really
Valorant
want
either.
to.
good.
I
They
don't
like
want to
gain
play it
5,000 pounds.
because of the invasive anti-cheat.
What do you mean invasive?
Like it
What does
stays
that
on your
mean?
computer even after you uninstall the game.
Oh my god.
Like that invasive.
Oh, like an SCD?
More
Huh.
like malware, but
Bro,
Gotcha,
just
gotcha,
play
gotcha.
CS:GO. It's better than Valorant.
I swear this Junkrat has to be racist. I'm like not even joking anymore.
womp
He's
womp.
targeting the two darker characters in this game.
This game sucks.
So why are
Join
you
me.
playing it?
Because boredom.
Wah wah wah.
Wah,
You're bored,
wah,
okay?
wah.
Well,
Scooby
if it
Dooby
is,
Doo, where are you? Not here.
we're at the Pentagon.
Damn it.
Robo Reiki
Racism.
accidentally shut down the nuclear reactor.
I'm sorry?
Daniel, are
I
you
said-
even online? Oh, you are. What is this? Steep Steps? Oh, I'm in the Discord server for Steep Steps.
Oh yeah, you want to try it because it's kind of like a stressful game.
Ooh, this should be
Oh, I
interesting.
wanna
What
try.
game?
All right, join me then.
We should
Yeah,
watch
Daniel.
Alejandro play a horror game.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
I have Prey on Steam. And also Phasmophobia.
Is
that
that
Don't remember
Woody
what that
L?
is.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
I have
yeah,
remember
I'm
the-
basic.
I have
What's up?
Prey,
Whatever.
I have Phasmophobia, I
Oh
have
my god. This
Dying
dude
Light.
rocked.
I don't know if that
Yeah,
counts
like,
as a
come
horror
back over
game,
here
but
to spawn.
Oh
Come
my
back to
god,
spawn.
it's the real Donut King. Holy crap! I never thought I'd meet you.
Mr. Streamer, come back to
Mr. Beast.
spawn. I'm begging you.
Bring out the
What?
seafood. Bring out the
Never mind.
seafood.
Okay, so
Uh-oh,
this game,
Junkrat is letting
you
out
have a
his
ladder,
love.
right?
how do I
And
get how do
you-
I pick up my ladder?
While
You pick
equipping
it
that little item, you have to click on it.
Miata.
What the hell? Who's that?
Magic.
Wait, there's someone in here
Magic
named
Mike.
Oh, I misread that as Melody, but okay. I can't jump. Can you not jump in this game?
Nope.
Okay, you can't jump. You have to rely on your ladder.
Fucking bitch.
Oh my god. Oh no, Daniel, that's you. Oh,
I'm so bad.
Daniel.
I heard my
Yeah,
name.
that's gonna happen. If you can't get your ladder back,
Are you playing
you have
the
to start over.
the climbing game?
Yeah, steep steps.
I'm never playing that game again.
Yeah, it's stressful.
This is my first
I-
time playing this game.
I played it for like 2 seconds and I couldn't.
Wait,
Nah.
okay, I think I cheesed
play
it.
it.
Wait, can we? Oh, we can't get up.
Oh shit.
Racist,
well, good
racist.
luck.
I'm sorry.
My streamer, by the way.
Oh,
Why are these
This
two
streamer-
girls here? I just realized.
Maddie and Daisy.
Women, am I right?
Paul,
We have one in the VC. Calm down.
I'm sorry. I
That makes it
blanked out
funnier,
for a
man.
second. What did I miss?
A lot.
Come on, Daniel.
I'm scared. I don't want to lose my ladder. Come
I
on.
lost my ladder. Shit.
I'm gonna throw balls at people.
I love throwing balls at people.
You just love balls.
What can I say?
That, but like,
No! Oh, you almost made me drop mine. Oh my
oh,
god.
that's gotta be.
So this one, you have to, knock it over, but be careful. You can drop. You almost did that to me. You almost did that. I hate you.
That would have been
You almost made me
so
start
funny.
over.
That would have been so funny.
Wait up, guys.
You do it. Come on. Mr. Stream. Oh, see, look at that. You have to start over now.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah, shut up.
ooh, I don't care. It's a video game. Get over it.
No,
I'm
Use your own
sorry.
ladder, loser. Mooch.
Oh.
Freeloader.
Using our ladder, it's like one life. So if you lose it, it's game over.
Oh, really? You go into our spawn now? That has to be racist.
UDL, you really just did that, didn't you?
Sucker.
Oh, sorry. I'm in your way. Damn, Woody, okay?
What?
Bro, really actually just made me lose my
I
ladder.
really just took that on and put it
Oh,
back.
did I? Oh.
You made me lose my ladder.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to.
So you have to start over, or
I
just go
don't
back
like
down.
you, actually.
Yeah, you can't get it from like a long range too. So
Yeah.
I noticed that.
having fun.
No.
No.
We're
never.
having fun here,
I don't know
right?
what you're thinking.
Right?
Frankly,
You
I
think
hate this game.
content creators have fun? That's hilarious.
This is awesome. I don't know. Listen to Sean. He loves this game.
I fucking
I'm not
hate
even
it.
playing the same game as you and I'm mad at it.
Dude, this sucks.
Wow. Wow, that is... Ooh.
Ooh,
Ignore me,
sure, I
sorry.
am mad.
Guys, this game makes me want to say bad words.
I'm just saying no words.
This
Maybe
game
not say it
makes
on
me
stream.
want to get banned from
This
Twitch.
gay? This gay wants to what?
This game makes me
Come on.
want to break my
Come on,
monitor.
Alejandro.
This
do it for
game
your
makes me want to
country.
break Twitch TOS.
That sounds like a vibe. I don't know what you're talking about.
Can't
That-
you like What is it? I don't know
Can't
what
you
it's
like
called.
shut your mouth?
I'm trying to help you. Shut up. If you don't want help, then fine. Have fun.
Oh,
I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
I don't care about your stream. I don't care about you, Mr. Streamer. I might unfollow you.
I'll kill myself live on stream.
Yeah.
You wouldn't dare.
I'll pull a Ronnie McNutt.
Who's listening
All right,
to
calm down.
the classical music?
That is
The game.
that
And
is
also
the
That's
me.
Steep Steps soundtrack.
That is also me.
Cringe.
The
Not
music
over here.
makes it good for this game. Wow.
I actually hate this game, genuinely. This game genuinely is horrific.
Oh no!
This is like getting over it levels of infuriating.
This is like getting over
Hey,
it.
wait for me.
Oh my god,
Oh.
I finally made it up that freaking.
Wait, where are you, Alejandro? Oh my god, you're still over there?
murder me.
Working on it. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
You're getting over it.
Shut up.
Here's
Oh,
the
no,
good thing, but the bad thing
Wait.
as well. So there's checkpoints, right? But they're like really far away from each other.
Of course they
Oh.
are. Because why wouldn't
You know
it be
what? I'm
as
playing
infuriating as
characters.
possible?
This game's awesome. I see you. If you look up.
Oh,
Hi.
I hate you.
Hi, Mr.
Oh.
Streamer.
Shut up.
Wait, Alejandro, maybe at the same place as you. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Oh, you fell?
Wow.
Yeah, I fell.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
gonna
my
happen.
teammates are dumb.
Rude.
And I'm back on my grind.
Should I generally play some Sea of Thieves?
Thieves.
Wait, where'd you go, Alejandro?
Start it over.
I think
Our
think you went to
streamer.
hell.
I see him. Hi.
Okay,
Shut
I will
up.
attempt to play with y'all if one of you guys play.
Daniel, you're a fucking menace to society.
Oh, hey, Daniel.
This game's awesome.
Daniel, I fucking hate you.
I bet Daniel has beat this game like 5 times and is like,
No,
hey,
I
let's
only
play
reached
my
300.
favorite game in the
That's
world.
it.
Only.
I only reached
Okay,
300.
great.
Sean.
Asshole. It didn't even fall over. No fucking way. Am I stuck without my ladder?
Oh, you can't reach it.
Oh my god, I can't reach my ladder. Can you knock down my ladder
Yeah,
for me?
where are you? You need to help
I
him.
fell.
Can you
Oh.
can you knock my ladder down for me?
And knock it over for him. Help him.
Oh, it's right over there.
Yeah, get up
Be a
and knock
be a
it
real
over
one.
for me because
Just
I
come up
can't
with me.
reach it. Oh wait, I can just follow you.
There
Alright.
you go.
Yeah, just follow me.
Yeah, you can follow his ladder, but
There you go.
best to keep your ladders on yourself.
Yeah.
So
Could you add me real quick so I can play with y'all?
I
Just
friended
join.
you.
Yeah, there you go.
Pull.
Hey, get going.
Why? Who is this pigeon's man?
It is the pigeon,
Oh.
the god of pigeons. Yes,
Hi.
Who is
Oh,
this?
Mr. God of Pigeons. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You're currently on stream
Suffering.
with Mr. Streamer here.
I'm Mr.
Yeah, no,
Streamer.
I'm watching the stream.
Well, are you? This is insane. You have another viewer out there. How do
Oh
you
my
feel?
god,
Holy
Inception.
mother
Oh,
of fuck.
I made that.
He's having fun. He's clearly having fun with this game.
Wait,
No.
where am I supposed to go?
I'm killing myself.
Wait, Daniel, where am I
Captain
supposed to
No
go
for
from here?
stream.
I'll go around. There.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, then where to?
There's
Daniel,
like a
I'm
little-
going to start crying.
You fell again.
Do it.
Oh.
Do it for the views.
There's
Fuck
other
you!
games
Why do you
just
have a
like this.
colored ladder? That's unfair. I hate
Merry
you.
Hey, Daniel,
This person
Look at this
spent
loser.
Robux on this game, and I hate them for it.
Game's
look at that
awesome. I'm like-
loser.
Ain't no way, bro.
Drop your
Spend
ladder.
money on Roblox.
Huh?
Let's just
Imagine
wait for
spending money on a
Alejandro to
game
come
that
in.
has
Yeah,
the
let's wait.
option of spending money on
Let's
it.
just wait for him.
That's kind
Let's just wait for
Let
all.
this guy go by. You're actually dog water.
Fuck you. Die.
No,
that's
this
his-
dude's
that's-
name. You're actually dog water.
Yeah. Alejandro, come on, man.
Dude, it's
Went
not
down
that
for him.
hard.
I
Just
don't
go
care.
up.
Okay, I'm gonna help you, Mr. Streamer.
Shut up. Me.
No, no, this guy's pushing me off.
Help you with that. Let me there.
That's so cool.
That didn't help at all.
It helped, it kind of. No. Oh, there.
Oh.
Whoopsie doopsie. I fell down. Hey guys.
There you go. All right, let's keep going.
Hey guys, I accidentally fell down.
Okay then.
All right. Let's. Oh, I gotta get it.
Let's lower it a bit. Be all calm, you know.
Dude, this motherfucker. Dude, the guy who's like
Let me do
dog
it.
water is literally pushing me.
There you go. Now go.
Question:
Just
how do you
come.
mute a stream that you're watching?
Right click.
That
Let's go.
didn't
Alejandro,
help me at all.
Finally.
Shush. Booty hole.
I may be loaded, but at least I'm a Johnny.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
come on, dude.
killing myself live on stream.
This is the best game ever.
No, this game sucks, and I hate you
This
for
game's
making me play it.
awesome.
It sucks even more on controller, by the way,
Why are you playing on controller?
because I
What?
have a controller.
Wait, I play on controller.
Why are you playing with? Oh god, I'm staying away from him.
Okay. Yeah, no,
That dude is able to push us off, so he
I
bought it.
know, I know. I saw.
A bit stinky. Stay away from him.
Oh, he fell.
Where do I
Really?
go?
Where are you? Oh, hi. How are you doing?
Hey,
Oh,
get up, you loser. Oh my, did you really just drop your letter again?
Oh my god. I love this
Oh,
game
Me too.
because I get to see people get mad over it.
I
It's
know,
like
it's
only
funny.
up and getting over it all over again.
this game is so unbelievably infuriating.
There's so much more to it as well.
Wait, the guy's back. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay.
Yo, what
Yeah, I'd rather
altitude
stay
are
in the
y'all at?
front.
Fucking
Uh,
god.
we're at
I can't
48.
reach my ladder again.
Alright, Mr. Baby.
Fuck you.
I need this
Mr.
person to
B.
leave me alone. Thank you.
I don't think I can get it off. Like,
Just help me, help me, help me, help me get up,
okay. Well,
please.
Oh.
hurry up, whiny baby,
Don't call me that, or I'll cry.
Mr. Streamer. Okay, baby.
Do it.
Come on, Ale.
Ugh,
You
Not
got
enough.
I noticed.
Yeah, hi, streamer. Oh,
This game is irritating.
I
This
just dropped my
frickin'
letter.
Colored ladder ass.
who are you? The oh god, there's two ladders.
I'm holding the ladder.
Imagine having a colored fucking ladder.
Imagine paying for Robux for that.
You did.
I finally fell. Damn it.
Finally? What do you mean?
Finally. My first time falling for once.
No!
Me and you, we have to babysit this man.
I know.
Can't play on controller.
Oh, I just dropped my letter too.
I'm
This is
farther
cringe.
ahead than both
No,
of
I
you
dropped
right
my
now,
ladder.
So, you know, kill yourself. What the
Excuse me, it's Krill.
Come on, we got this, man. No! Alejandro!
Hi. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, there he
Oh,
goes.
I just got up here and he just decided to fall.
No, my ladder decided to fall.
So did you.
I had to
I
go
let
get
my
it,
la-
bro. I had no other option.
there was no other way.
How did you do that?
How
How did you do that?
How did you do that?
I don't know. It
Improvise,
worked.
overcome, and adapt.
I Okay.
Improvise,
I saw.
adapt,
Okay.
overcome.
I saw.
Backwards.
No, no.
Come on. Let us do this part. You suck at this one.
Yeah, no, just get back here and we'll do it, okay?
We're not waiting in the exact same spot, man. Come on.
Shut up. You stink. You're a goofy goober, and I hate you for it.
I'm a proud member of Good Corporation.
Sorry.
Come on.
I hate this game. I hate this game so damn much.
Drop your letter again?
Yep.
Again. It's Sean.
Oh hi, I
Oh
see
my
you.
God.
I didn't know you joined. Oh my god.
Yeah, magic.
Wait, Sean is here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Seku
Yeah,
K.
I'm right in front of you.
Oh, hello, Sean.
You didn't even know he joined.
Dude, Sean's name is Sasuke Uchiha. Oh my god.
Dude,
Sean, let me
I
send you a
hate
friend
this name
request.
and I don't know what to do about it. Okay.
Come on, Alejandro. Just
We
one
have
more
another
level.
babysitter for
Sean,
Mr. Streamer
where
here.
are you? I'm gonna send you a friend request.
It's Seku K.
I'm the dude with
Bakugan.
a spider face.
I sent you a friend
Spider,
request.
snake face.
Fuck.
Cool.
I really hope he makes this part. I really hope he does it.
One. Yeah, no! Well, okay, that's fine.
Alright,
Get your
let
letter.
me do this. See, go to the wall. Stand back. I
Like
need
Daniel
space for
do
this.
it.
Let the pro do this. No, not enough.
Oh
Wait.
my ass.
Come on, hurry up.
Hey.
Oh, go.
I thought you were gonna
Are we going
this
delete
way?
the ladder as I was walking over it.
Alright,
How was
someone-
I?
Okay, Daniel, you do this part because I'm not that kind of good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
suck
someone
at
has
this
to like
part.
hold it down. Alright, go.
There you go. Yeah, Alejandro, you're doing it.
Oh my
Finally.
god. I didn't fall. Holy
Oh.
shit.
Alright, let's keep going. Be careful.
You can just fall off that part.
Yeah, you have to go around here to.
I'm
Actually
lagging
progress.
so hard.
Where do we
We
go
gotta
from
go
here?
over here.
Wait, where
Over
do we
here.
Oh, do we have to go
Over there.
there?
You're so cringe.
That's really risky too. So
Oh,
Yeah, because like down there.
I don't want to do that part.
I don't like it.
I'm a bit scared.
I'm more scared of this than I am a woman.
Oh, I almost dropped it. That was close.
Oh, that was so close.
No, but to be honest, we can easily get back up here. So
Nope.
Oh,
that was
shit.
great.
look how shallow it is.
Daniel.
Alright, fine. Step back. Let the pro do this.
I'm going
Okay.
back to
Okay.
keyboard and mouse.
I hope
because
your ladder
fuck
falls.
this.
It'll be funny.
Yeah,
It'll
you
be
don't
funny.
want to do it
I
on
also
control.
hate the fact that the placement of your ladder is based on where your character is facing and not on where your mouse is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Okay, go. I got it. Yep, go. But you guys are so nice. You
We're
didn't knock
doing-
it over.
We're discovering Mount Everest again.
Hell yeah.
Get up here, people. Wait, Alejandro, did you just drop your letter?
No, I managed to click
Okay,
it right
okay.
before it
Come
fell.
on.
Okay, I thought you
No,
did.
no.
No, Sean, your ladder.
Oh no, but it respawns. Him because it fell into the void.
Oh wait, I forgot y'all were all
Oh,
still
cool.
down there. I'm sorry.
Wow,
fine.
our streamer.
I'll do it. I think.
Okay, go. Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
give him some
losing
space.
the ladder.
Come on. Let him more.
Oh,
Oh, perfect.
bro is a master.
Okay, we just jump down here.
Yeah, we
This
should go
is
down
my
there.
first time actually playing.
This is my first time.
Oh, I almost lost my ladder.
Oh, I don't like this. Oh my god.
Oh,
The fuck? What was that?
I don't know.
Wait, shop is it? Wait, no. Oh. Okay, we should.
I don't like this.
Daniel, wait.
Oh,
I take it
Uh,
away right as soon as he gets over.
Oh, okay. Okay, one of us just have to place our ladder because it looks like.
Bruh.
Whoa.
oh, I think that's good.
Oh, it worked. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, Carl.
Carl, that kills people.
Please be careful with my ladder. I didn't like it.
It started wiggling. I was scared.
Who's
Dude, it's getting really tight here. Oh my god.
I don't know. It wasn't mine.
What's getting tight?
Your mom.
I was gonna say that.
You just left us.
You left
Wow.
us behind.
I see
Wow.
you start streaming and all of a sudden we're too good for you? Or are you too good for us? Yeah, that way. Streaming does really change a person.
Ladder.
It does.
Daniel!
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh,
Okay.
I left the ladder here for you, and you just went the other way. Okay.
So
Yeah, shortcut.
yeah,
I'll
you.
We
cry.
go this way, I think.
I'll cry, and it's all your fault.
So is there a campfire anytime soon?
Why
No,
does my
until
ladder
it's,
just
we've
do
gone
that?
until we get to 100. That's our first checkpoint.
Oh.
Yeah, if you look up
I feel like that's
on your
gonna
screen, you
fall.
can see 69.
Oh, guys.
Wait, don't
Come on.
worry, we're not that far down, so we can just easily grab it.
Yeah, we can just go
Yeah.
from here. So
I'm sorry. I'm
You
sorry.
should be.
I'm sorry.
That was so mean.
Bro, he's skipping. Dude,
Daniel, did
I
you
can't
tell
reach
us
it.
when you're doing that.
I
Wait,
can't reach it. There's no point of going here.
then why did you
It's too
fucking
tall.
do it, dickhead?
I thought we can go through the stairs. It's fine.
You're a prick.
What? It was just one ladder.
Oh my
There was
God.
one spot we did it. Okay.
Come on, get
Just
over here,
amazing,
people.
Danny.
Come on. Hurry up.
Okay. I was about to put mine down too. You know what?
Oh, oh,
Back you
damn
go.
Okay, it's not that far
I
down.
don't know
It's
how I
fine.
did that.
It's fine.
I hate you guys.
Welcome to
That
Roblox.
was only me.
Life is Roblox.
In life, we have
Roblox.
Roblox.
Come on, Alejandro.
I made it.
Hurry up.
Yay.
Oh.
Dude,
John, stop dropping your
it
ladder.
keeps on happening.
Oh, there's
Two
two.
ladders.
Really? Bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Get over
More?
here.
Okay,
Get
get up.
over here.
Go. Wait! Just got here.
I'm gonna trust that y'all can do it.
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Scared.
Daniel, hurry up.
I'm awful.
oh, you want to play
Oh,
Roblox?
dear.
I want to play Among Us.
Oh, what is this?
Oh,
You
what the fuck?
Hey, first try.
Oh, for sure.
Never mind then.
Sam.
We don't care.
That's wild.
Oh, God.
Try
I'm
pushing.
sorry.
Okay, so this part it's tricky. Let me show you. No!
Oh,
No! I'm
L.
fine.
let me try.
I'm
Let me
fine.
try.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it right here.
Hey, you have to do it on the side. Forgot.
Oh,
I'm the smart.
But in this part, what you have to do is push it to your left.
oh my God! Really?
That's so
Yeah.
cringe. Is this gonna be a reoccurring
Oh
factor?
no, Alejandro, you're gonna
Yeah.
fall. You're gonna have to fall.
Oh!
No!
Why were you in the way?
Alejandro, no!
Come on! Come on!
I'm
was
gonna
very nice of
cry,
you.
Daniel. No!
I don't care about you.
You ego-looking waffle.
Danny, I thought you were the like world record holder
You
of this
guys,
or
this
something.
game sucks.
Only reached 300 and gave up. Sean, be quiet.
I'm gonna stay up here because I have no clue where to go after this.
So proud of you.
Um,
Alright,
Okay,
let me
Daniel,
do it. Give me space.
Let Daniel do it.
Yeah,
Where are you?
take your ladder. I don't think you can do it on controller though.
He's
I'm
on
not even
mouse and
using the
keyboard.
controller right now.
You can't reach
How-
that little spot, can you?
Fuck.
How are you supposed to get on that?
I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm fucked.
Yeah, someone get his ladder off. Come on. Actually, just
Oh, I
go
made
without
it.
him. Without him.
Can
Go without him.
someone
How did y'all
help
do
me,
that?
please?
Fine. I know, help my streamer. Come on.
I
Little
didn't,
whiny
I
baby.
didn't make it. Oh my god.
I just spawned on top of y'all's ladder when it first came through and was like, hey, I'm just gonna do this now. I don't know where I'm going from here.
I'm gonna cry,
I
Daniel.
know there's this area right here, but I don't want to go over here yet.
Dangle,
What?
kill me.
Dongle.
Why? This is an awesome game.
Dingle
No.
dangle dongle.
No, it fucking isn't. And you know it.
Come on, you got this. No, never mind.
Why is it
This
crooked?
game's okay.
Why is it crooked? Why is it crooked?
Look,
Look at my
hold on,
stream.
though.
Why is it crooked? It's crooked.
is it actually?
It's actually
Yeah,
crooked.
it
Look
is.
at my stream. It's crooked.
I can't wait to push that off. I can't wait.
Oh, Carl's here.
What are you doing?
Carl,
He's
that
been here.
kills people.
Carl, you just
I believe in you.
Come on, Alejandro, you got it.
Oh shit, you made it.
You did it. And you fell.
You were right there.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Bro. Who joined?
Oh, Melody.
Oh, I.
Daniel, come back.
Actually? So
No.
Hey,
Actually, I'm
Eh,
Batman.
wah, wah. I don't wanna hear it.
Wah, wah, wah. I don't want to fucking it. Nope.
Alejandro.
I hate this fucking game so much. Oh
can't
my.
you toggle, like, your perspective,
Can't
right?
you toggle these nuts?
I'm trying to help you. You know what? I'll be
No,
back.
no, no,
Give me
no,
a
no, no,
minute.
no,
like
I'm
my
sorry, I'm sorry.
character's gonna
Please,
be-
please, please don't leave me
Bye,
here. Please don't leave me
bye.
here. I'm begging.
Oh, my mom's calling me. I gotta go.
No, 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 Daniel. Daniel, Daniel. That is my ladder over there. Daniel, that is my ladder over there. Don't you dare leave me here. She actually leave. I'm gonna fucking cry.
I think he did.
Daniel?
Oh my god. I'm actually gonna start crying right now.
Oh, he actually did leave.
He actually left me here. You're kidding me.
Should I come back down for you?
Nah, let's
Please.
just keep reading.
Come on, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, Sean, you're actually gonna keep. Oh,
I almost fell into the void. I'm gonna go back
Bro,
now.
I've been fucking abandoned here. I can't get to my ladder. Sekuke. Sean, I love you.
oh my god, super nice. Come on, Sean, you've done it
Bro's
before.
wiggling,
Let's
bro's
go,
wiggling.
Sean. Come on, Alejandro.
Uh-oh, uh-oh. You got this, you got this. Oh,
Well, at least
at
I
least you
have my
got your ladder
now.
back.
Are you done? Oh, he's
Yeah.
still here.
At least I have my ladder.
Daniel, where'd you go?
I had to help him
I had to
because
close
you
the door.
left.
How far away is your door? Like 20 feet?
You got this. I did not have to do this part, so I don't know if you got this, but okay. I want to try this actually.
You know what? I'm just gonna do it. I don't care.
I genuinely want to try it.
Let's just leave him.
I'm stuck. Okay, we're good.
Oh.
Wait.
I just
It's so
want to try
funny
it.
to be up here.
I didn't even realize you were up there.
Me, the person who didn't pay anything to have the skins, is up here.
Alright, Sean. Can you leave this?
He fucking
Sean.
died. I got you, bro.
Sean.
Sean,
Sean.
come back
Okay,
up
I'll
here
leave.
and I'll help you.
Yeah.
Like you,
Daniel.
like Daniel helped
What?
you.
You made it.
Never mind. Fuck.
Let's just leave him.
What are you guys playing?
We're
Don't
trying
you
to
dare.
play steep steps, but it's not going well.
Your ladder's still
What's
here,
that
so.
on?
Roblox.
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 Oh my god.
It's
the
like
most
getting
cringe
over at
game
levels of
I have ever
horrible.
played.
Yeah, it's a stressful game, Melody. You wanna play?
Yes, I'm gonna
Let's do
join
it.
right now.
Come on.
Oh wait, does that mean we have to go all the way back? Just
I'm gonna go for Melody. You guys keep going. I know he's gonna
Okay.
be here for a while.
guys.
Wait.
We have
You
to
guys
do
are gonna be here for a while.
guys, we have to do the respectful thing and go back for Melody.
Real
You
nice.
could
He's
be a
not
gentleman
starting
I'd
over. I know
rather
that for
not.
sure.
starting this over.
Yeah, he's not start.
Yeah.
Let me just go help out Melody.
Let the pro do it.
Yeah, let me
I'll
do it.
come
Oh,
with
I barely managed to get my ladder before it fell on the ground.
Daniel, I'll come with you.
Are you serious?
Okay, then you have to reset. So
I'm getting to my pants, bro. I'm terrified.
alright, let's go then. There you
Ali?
are, Melody. You ready for
Ali?
painful?
Ali?
Yeah.
Ali?
Oh, I
Oh.
forgot your ladder
That's
was
my
stuck.
ladder.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right,
Fine,
Melody, let's go.
Thank you.
I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, this is
How
a
do you do
stressful
it?
game. So, oh, Josh is here.
Who?
Josh.
Which one?
And
Are
your
you
ladder.
serious? I'm gonna cry. I'm literally gonna cry.
Same.
Are y'all playing Steve Stud?
We're trying.
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Bro
my
knew
gosh.
immediately.
You cannot blame me if I cry.
Bro, this is a stressful game. He knows it.
Oh,
No, did you just fall?
I'm sorry.
Alright, don't join in this bit.
Oh my god.
And we got Josh joining.
Wait, I opened up the menu by accident. What do I do?
Oh,
My
you have a
ladder is
ladder
stuck.
in your inventory, so
It's not
you can
moving.
spawn one.
Come on, guys. I already put the ladder down.
I misread
You
starting
fell.
steps as
You
sharding
won
steps.
because of our success.
How do you meet?
Wait,
How do you manage to do that?
I did it.
All right,
One
come on,
second.
Melody.
Ali.
I'm trying to see how to get out of the menu.
There's a little box on the top left.
I'm coming, Sean. I'm sorry.
Alejandro, I feel like we're gonna get there before you give up.
Yeah.
Probably, honestly, to be completely honest with you.
This
Alright.
part is the weirdest thing
Literally
ever.
carrying Melody.
The realness.
And I'm back on my grind. Oh shit.
Like, I'm
sorry.
not that bad
Sure.
at this game. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
This game's awesome.
No, it's not. Don't
It
lie to
is.
yourself.
Can go suck it. No.
Not only are you lying to yourself, you're lying to chat.
Ew, that's
And that's
nasty.
a
Oh my
crime. That is a cardinal sin.
Cardinal sin?
shitting my pants
Be
right now,
advised.
man.
Hostile
What is
clips
there
in your
any season of
ear.
The Bible? What type of cardinal sin are you talking about?
Oh,
Lying to chat.
oh my
You
god.
can just jump from here. Come
I
on.
was. Oh, really?
Please.
I'm
Not
like gonna
that
make
short.
it.
You got
No,
this.
where's your ladder?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I don't need it. I got you guys.
Grab the ladder. Grab the ladder. Oh.
Yeah, she's just using us.
Wow.
No.
We did
Oh
it.
my
Did you make it? Oh, wait,
We
did
did
you
it,
make it
Ali.
all of it?
Yep, I made it. I made it. I'm
We did it,
God.
Ali.
I'm literally a
Is there
god.
like a campfire?
You
Oh.
profited from my success. What are you
I'm
talking
so
about?
pissed. This thing is in my way. How do I get rid of it?
Guys, I'm too autistic. for
Magic.
this.
It's not an excuse.
Kill yourself.
Almost failed.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I got rid of it.
Oh
Oh
my
wait,
god,
it's a
how
void.
far
It's a
down
void.
did that
It's a
go?
void. You still have yours. It's a void. It's a
Oh.
void.
How
You're
far
good.
up?
Thank God.
How far up are you?
He's at 88.
25 meters.
Dude, my life
Oh.
flashed before my eyes. I
Ali.
would have just left the
Ali.
game if I.
Ali.
Guys.
Yeah. What's
Ali.
Remember what Nick
Look in front of us.
Nick A30 said? Never back
Never
down.
give up.
Give up.
Dudd, we have another
Odds.
push.
up?
And
Never let that- Never turn around.
Ready to cry.
It's
Dude,
AK.
I'm gonna kill
Alejandro, how high are you guys right now?
myself.
That's
We're
not
at
fair.
88.
What happens
high
if
up
I
are you
fall
guys
off
right now?
here?
You
Oh,
fucking
did I do this?
die.
I go.
Yo,
You can do it.
Let's go.
What happens if I fall
Yippee.
off?
here, let me try
You
with
died.
Reset.
let me try it with my.
Oh.
Okay.
Like to the beginning?
Go
Yeah.
to your checkpoint.
No, but they're at the start, like the very start.
Oh, then yes, to the beginning.
Yeah. And he started over.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Let's
Oh,
start it
no,
all over.
Alejandro.
I did it!
The poor baby boy.
Oh,
Wait, do we have to wait for
Oh.
Alejandro?
Yeah.
Do
Deep
you guys
steps.
want to go back for
Oh,
Alejandro?
he left. He left.
Oh, really?
That's the
cringe.
Dude, fuck
Alejandro,
that.
come back.
cringe.
Fuck that, dude. Oh my god.
That's so bad.
I'd rather,
You know, we
Would you like
could have
to
helped
play
you.
again?
dude. I'd rather play
Nah, me,
17
Leo,
plus
and
only
Daniel got
vibe and
this.
chill.
What?
Come on, do the Biden shuffle.
No.
He only failed because he went on to my ladder.
Hold on. What is the
And
Biden
I
shuffle?
moved it.
Yes.
Biden
Is that falling down
shuffle.
the stairs?
Yeah, and letting out a loud fart.
Huh?
Let's.
I'm at least
Be
Hey.
making it
advised, the
to
commander in
100.
chief has fallen down the stairs.
I am.
That scared the hell out of me. Why do you have walkie-talkie sounds in your soundboard?
Why not?
I hate you for that.
Let's keep going.
How
I'm
do
at
we do
least
this?
making it to 100.
Why is there
I know.
why is there a Roblox game with the thumbnail of a Roblox character giving birth?
Why
sorry?
isn't there?
Uh,
Oh God,
This is
please.
Roblox.
Dying.
What do you
This guy can
expect?
push us off.
That's normal. What do you mean?
What the fuck are you talking about? That is not fucking normal.
That's unfortunately been the thing since like 2018.
The
Yeah,
fact
what do you
that
mean?
Roblox character is pregnant
Asshole.
implies that they had to
Hey,
have sex,
Danny, you said there was a checkpoint
Shut
at
up.
100. I'm at 106.
which
Did you
means
press the-
Roblox
the-
sex is
Is
canon,
there a
guys.
campfire
Roblox
on?
sex is canon.
I,
No, it's
I
not.
see,
Shut up.
I
Oh
see a
my
flag.
God! Oh my God!
Is there
Guys,
like
Where
a
are
sword?
you?
Dude,
why
Wait,
is
did
there
you
a
fall?
game called
eat
Don't Sniff It?
What the hell?
Dude, dude, that guy just pushed me and Melody off.
Oh, he had the game. He pushed you off. Okay. Well,
No, but luckily I landed at 33, but Melody got like fell off.
Combat Warriors, guys?
Wait, Mel, where are you?
I got completely knocked off, and then I let off an eagle shriek, bro.
yeah. Melody
No, I heard
reset. She's at 0.
You guys want to play
I'm
another
gonna
game?
play
Or...
102.
Guys,
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
play another
wait a
game.
minute,
This
wait a
game.
minute.
I don't
Did
care.
someone
Let's just play another
actually
game.
implement
Get
ChatGPT?
me out of here.
Guys, did someone actually implement ChatGPT into Roblox?
Wait.
What?
Don't
Wouldn't that be like illegal?
don't leave yet.
I don't
What's your name?
think so. I think
It's
I know what
not
you're talking
illegal.
about, though.
Because the developer of this game pays money for ChatGPT, apparently.
That's cool. But why would you want to do that?
No, your
Also,
message was filtered
there's a
by
game
Roblox.
called
Try
Ocean
sending
Exploration.
A new one. I'm gonna cry, guys.
Do you guys want to play extreme hide and seek?
Select
Oh,
Would you
wait.
like to
I'll
play? Would you
It's
like to
actually-
play Ocean Exploration?
No fucking way.
Nah. Extreme.
There's a
hide and
summer.
seek.
There's,
Just
Why is
sounds
there
there's
a
a submarine
chatbot
in the
called
cover of
Anime
it.
Girl?
What?
I don't think submarine is a good topic to talk about right now.
It's an amazing topic to talk about. What do you mean?
Yeah, the
That's
ocean.
prime real
It's
estate
a
right
Twitch
there.
I'm gonna
stream
ask
going
him
on.
where the submarine went. Where
Are you
is
literally
the
talking to
submarine?
Roblox
Isn't it
ChatGPT
anti-blow
right
up?
now?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
It imploded.
Where's
Huh?
the submarine? Shut
It
up.
imploded.
I'm sorry,
Is
but
it
I don't have
anti-blow up?
access to your
What?
Just
You
I
guys
fell
want
off.
to play? I don't know.
Okay, I'm done.
Generic
now.
cooking
I'm
game.
leaving.
I don't know what that is, but it
Oh,
just
oh
Oh
feels
my
Oh,
God!
wait.
Let's do it. Let's do
play
it. Let's
Murder
do it.
Place.
we can play extreme hide and seek.
Yeah, let's
Nope.
play extreme hide and
Y'all
seek.
gonna join me.
Oh, I'm not listening to you.
Oh wait, if
Dang.
y'all are
Let's
gonna
play
play,
Better
if y'all are gonna play Extreme Hide and Seek, I'm gonna
Danny,
join
why are
because
you
this
still in
sucks.
Seek
This
Steps?
sucks. Wait,
I'm not. I
no,
left.
wait a minute. Does this
No,
game have
no, you're right.
interplayer chat? No, it doesn't. How did they disable chat in the game?
You can do that.
That's,
Nobody
it's just
does it though.
that's
It's
a
just
bit-
really
that's a
I'll
bit-
be right
dumb.
back. I'll be back in like 20 minutes.
the fact that chat GPT is even an option in. Why is this still here?
Your sus roommate?
Why is this still here? Oh,
Oh
it's-
yeah,
it's still content
I've seen
deleted,
that.
isn't it?
as a game, and I've never entered it.
Good.
Odeo, you should try it.
No.
You
Report
should
to us.
play.
It's,
Yes.
guys, I
Ice
think
climbing
it's
on
content
Antarctica.
deleted.
You guys want to play prison life?
Bro,
No, unknown sus game.
Not really.
Wait,
Okay.
Synapse X
what?
still works.
Murder mystery.
Let's play murder
mystery.
Wait a minute.
What?
Yo, we can play murder mystery.
Look at my stream real quick.
No.
I mean,
No,
Hold up.
Alejandro, we're not doing that.
Yep. Go on it. Go ahead. First
Wait a
place.
minute.
The green button
Oh.
is
Do
right
you
there.
guys,
Look
do you
at.
guys want to play Roblox Titanic?
No.
No.
Oh my
Titanic.
gosh.
No.
Ah!
Uh,
What about
Ah.
what about Military Tycoon?
What the fuck?
what is
are
going
you-
on? Press E.
Her name is Ruby.
No.
Don't know if this is the
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
no, this
Why
is
am I
Imagine
in
it
Ruby's
right now.
house?
This is like the
Remind
games we
me
used to
what
play.
that symbol means
Symbol.
at the end of text.
I can't.
Maury.
Fucking goddamn it.
Go to the menu, scroll out, and then get out. If it's stuck.
Just die immediately.
The dying sound jump scared me.
What's the dying sound?
Go to my stream and I'll die again,
Actually-
and you can hear it.
It's annoying, to be honest.
Go to my stream and I'll
Hold on.
die, and you can hear it.
I'm in it, but it doesn't have any. Oh wait, never mind. Like your actual stream.
Yeah, it's not the oof sound anymore.
Okay.
Not the
Yeah,
Roblox
my
one.
Twitch stream is what
Yeah.
I'm
I'm in
talking
it.
about.
Is it game specific or is it?
It's game specific for this one because
Okay,
I
hold on,
guarantee
hold
it's
on,
not
hold
the
on.
same sound as every other game.
Are you sure?
Wait, we can play, oh wait.
Did you hear it, Joshua? Did you hear it, Joshua? I
Yeah.
hate this
No
so
way.
much.
It just did that. I had to deafen to hear it, but like that's so cringe.
Continue the game.
Yeah. Dude, it's
What is
ugly.
this about?
Wait, what happened? What happened?
Ew!
Oh
Ew.
my god.
Noise.
Ew!
I'ma play some Ultimate Driving.
What happened? Dude, Ultimate Driving fell off lately.
Oh really?
Is it?
They took away
Kinda.
all my things.
Hey, if you get some
That's
badges,
so cringe.
trophies will appear here.
How do you get
I
badges?
don't care, man.
Alex,
This is
do you know that horror IKEA game in Roblox?
No.
Oh, well, I thought you knew it. Do you want to play it?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's like an SCP game.
It's like
Let's do it. Let's do
beer
it. Let's do it.
right now.
Oh my god. Whatever that noise was just jump scared me.
No, because I just saw this airsoft game. I'm like,
Get
oh,
some
that's
badges.
cool. And then it just played a farting noise.
Yeah, we heard that
Penguin
too.
night.
Are you sure you want to leave the experience?
I'm just playing. I'm playing this airsoft game.
I
but
got
it's just
locked. I
randomly
got.
found.
Oh, it's shift.
Yeah,
Who's
it's got shift
Penguin Knight?
lock. You probably turned on shift lock.
Shift lock.
You have to go to the chat again. You gotta go.
Why is her name Ruby? I hate that. That's uncomfortable.
I
Well,
got out.
mainly because
Why?
I know someone
know
in real
Ruby.
life named Ruby.
Yes, we know.
Oh,
Yeah, we
Don't-
know.
don't think about
Are
it too
there
hard.
multiple
I think
Don't
we
think
always-
about that too hard.
Is it her again? It's her
Yeah,
again.
same person.
What the fuck?
Teleportation.
Come to my
It's a succubus.
What?
Can we find something we can all play?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm playing a game.
Hold on
Sean.
a minute.
God damn.
That ultimate
We
hide
could
and
play
seek
doors.
sounded kind of fun, but I want to see what
You can set to the back room. Oh my gosh.
Okay, that came out of nowhere. Wait, is this a horror game in disguise? Because that's actually kind of
It's
sick.
a horror game in disguise.
Wait, that's actually awesome. Holy
What
shit.
in
That's a
World?
genius idea, by the way.
No way, that's genuinely awesome.
Are you running from something?
I don't know, I probably am.
I'm gonna try.
It's full of hackers. It's still
Really?
fun, I guess. Yeah. It's so dumb, but
Is it funny though?
yeah, it is kind of fun. Sometimes. It's a little bit. But most of the time it is.
Go to fitness.
Oh, door. Wow! You did it. You made it. You got a badge.
What just happened?
What? It's other players there.
Why is it like a lobby now? What?
No, there's a woman killed me.
No way. Wait, look at this.
What?
Rest in peace. 2019 and
Bro, what just
here.
happened?
What is that?
For who?
I don't like you.
Why with the eye though? That makes it worse.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
And the
game.
squiggly line. What's the squiggly line?
I don't know. Time stop. Okay. Nah.
Room.
Fan arts. People have made fan art of this fucking game.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Disgusting. Happy.
Get some soda.
Soda.
Drink it.
Wait,
Drink it.
so
Oh,
what
oh,
are we-
okay.
what are
Or
we
get
playing?
infinite amounts of it.
Here.
Oh my gosh. You have so much of it. Should I join you?
Does anything
Apparently,
happen
I
if
can't
you
get
just
rid
get-
of them either. Oh my god, it's Miles Morales. Oh my
Alright.
fucking god.
Carl said, "Look at your screen share, please."
Look at, huh?
He said, "Look at his screen share."
He's
I
not
don't know his
screen sharing.
screen share.
He's not screen sharing.
He isn't.
Then why did he say that? Am I hallucinating?
Maybe.
Yes.
No, I saw it.
So. what
Oh,
the
now he is.
fuck is this game?
Okay.
Phone. Oh, yeah, he's on.
Nice try.
He's on his camera, I think.
Let me look at it for you.
Connection trying again.
Yeah, what is he looking at?
Why
Nice
can't
try.
why am I walking so slowly?
You died to the parkour. Crazy.
His thing won't let him
Out
cast.
of the way.
Stacking is the thing in this game? Oh no, there's lobbies.
Oh my god, guys, this game has multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm not playing that. What?
Yeah, I'm trying to join you. It doesn't let me though.
There's a solo though.
Ale, is that game 17 plus?
No. It's all ages.
That's hilarious.
It is
Look, there's a
hilarious.
solo match right there at the end. Did not hesitate.
It tossed me onto the ground.
Mm-mm.
Oh, there you go. Oh no, it's back to
What happened?
Am I just back here?
I think there's different endings.
Is that
You already beat the
That's
game.
yeah.
That's
Gardera.
crazy.
No,
Okay, let's see. We got a Fumo, another Fumo. Hey, I have that Fumo in real life.
of course you do.
That's
We do
by
not care.
Sakurajima,
I
the
I
little
have
shit from
no
One
clue
Piece.
what sumo is.
Right, Rick
Ah,
Astley,
why do you know
Saul
this?
Goodman, Astolfo,
Baller.
Saber,
What's that? Oh.
Baller.
Oh my god,
Amugas.
I
forgot
got
her name.
name.
Cringe.
Gargura. It's
We
a pretty
we should
nice
play
show.
Among Us or something.
It has so many. Dot.
I'm
Why
gonna
is,
search for
why is
Among
the
Us
dialogue
now.
so slow?
There's gotta be different endings.
I hope so.
We
Maybe
have
he
Stanley
just-
Parable at home.
It's pretty nice clock.
Pretty nice clock.
Why is it? Why is this?
It's good
It's
for
pretty
knowing
nice clock.
time. I wonder if it's nighttime or daytime. That's what the fucking clock is there for, bro.
Yeah, you pointed the clock.
Fuck you.
There's lore to this. You don't know what time it
That's-
is. You've been
that's
stuck
the
in this
point of the
room for your
mask.
life. Okay, now we know not to. Okay, sure.
What if I just let it kill me? Whatever it is. What if I just let the timer
I think it's a
count down?
timer.
Yeah.
I think it's just a yeah.
Maybe that's another ending.
Maybe.
That's probably another ending.
I kind of do love the fact that it just tricks you into playing a horror game. That's kind of awesome, though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw about another hobby game, or I saw about an hobby game that was based on a horror game. I can't remember what it was called though.
There's still a minute left on the timer.
Just run in circles. Don't go through the door. Don't go through. It's gonna. Just stay there. Don't walk backwards, because like I think that's got like a really close proximity thing. The same way the couch does.
I find it interesting that this game is locked to first person.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very long.
Yeah, like what was
too.
their intention?
20 seconds left.
Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm just playing this milk.
Be advised, you have 10 seconds before you are terminated.
This stream is
Better
very...
be dominated.
Okay,
No,
that
I
was...
think you just die.
And it said the
that
dumbass
was a waste
death
of
noise in
time.
my ear, so that's great. This sucks.
There's
game
gotta be something
sucks.
else.
This game sucks
There has to be a better
so
game.
much.
That's what I'm looking for right now.
I'm just playing this military tycoon while I'm waiting.
I just gotta say, maybe we could play some type of Among Us or murder mystery type thing.
Why do you want to play Among Us?
I don't. I want to do
Get out of the
something
way.
Damn it.
actually fun.
Yeah.
I think the parkour is harder just because there's people stacking. You could probably stack on people.
Nice
You got
try.
it. Okay.
Nice try.
Wait. Oh, you assholes are pushing me! Wait.
I think you're really good at the parkour.
Nice try.
You know what? I'm gonna do the what's it called?
Oh,
Nice
try
try.
using your shift lock.
Whatever this is.
To your
Nice
advantage.
try. Nice try.
Oh wait, no, it doesn't matter because you're in first person anyway.
Oh, I keep getting pushed! Oh!
Nice try.
Move!
The Neo
Nick.
Master.
All I'm
Nice
doing-
try.
God!
There's gotta be another level behind that parkour.
If you don't start
Nice
playing
try.
another game, I will start singing copyrighted
Nice
music.
try.
I'll kill you.
Nice try.
Do it.
Nice try.
If this bitch doesn't keep saying nice try.
Who just
Nice
put their
try.
mic up to Afghanistan and decided to go into
Nice
a
try.
Discord call?
Nice try.
Me.
I was about to say that.
Me and my Greek Habib are here.
Nice try. Nice try.
I'm playing the
This
great
game is
Habib.
terrible.
Jesus
I
Christ.
am buying watch.
Nice try.
This is literally just a walking simulator.
Nice
I like
try.
this old game.
Wait. Wait.
Why are you playing this game still?
Because
Nice try.
Because there's no good game.
Wait.
This isn't very
Nice
entertaining
try.
for the Twitch.
Nice
There it is.
try.
Wait. Wait.
You might be right, but whatever.
Nice try.
I am fighting for my freedom from
Nice
the great
try.
Habib.
Nice try. Nice try.
I love playing Roblox parkour with that has a blocky succubus mascot.
Wait,
Nice
what?
try.
Okay then.
Nice try.
That's a sentence I did not think I would hear today.
That's a sentence I didn't think I'd say today. So.
You always you gotta expect
Nice
the
try.
unexpected.
I don't want to.
Try to walk instead of jumping
Nice
when you
try.
like get caught into it.
Nice try. Nice try. Nice try. Nice try.
What the hell?
Nice
the
try.
camera
This
sound come
tycoon is the worst.
Nice try. Nice try. Nice try.
Don't worry about the camera sound. That never happened.
Oh, I got pushed.
What do you mean it never happened?
Nice
I don't
try.
think you're winning at the parkour.
Yeah.
Who left?
Nice try.
For sure.
Take
Nice
it
try.
slow. Take it slow.
It's so hot in my room right now.
Nice try.
It would be much easier if people
I
cooperated and
think
allowed you
Carl
to
left.
stack on them.
Nice
He did.
try.
You just get hit. And just
He was
fall.
on mobile though,
Nice
so he might have
try.
like switched to something else.
Nice try.
The gunshots in the background is so crazy, man.
Nice try.
Cry.
Nice try.
Alejandro's
try.
fighting for his life in parkour, and in the background it's like, terrorists win.
Nice try.
I'm actually just fighting for my life right now.
He's back. No, you got this, you got this.
Nice try.
No,
No, I don't.
okay.
Jesus Christ, I'm so. That is.
What a loser. That guy that pushed you,
Nice
that got in
try.
your way.
Nice try.
I've played a lot of bad games on Roblox. I think this tops it.
What,
No,
the
it
game I'm
doesn't.
playing?
No, it doesn't.
No,
Far
no,
from it.
mine.
Nice
Yeah.
try.
There's,
Oh, I was
this
gonna
is
say.
just so bad.
Gosh, earlier
There
we
are
found
some like
I mean,
just
Nice try.
poorly created games. Made?
Yeah.
earlier in the stream, we found like a memorial for like a furry.
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah.
Yeah, and it was a 17 plus
Nice
game
try.
Of
I
course
wonder
it was.
what the game was.
for alcohol,
I
apparently.
feel like I should remember this because I was here for the whole stream, but I
Nice try.
don't.
Yeah, you were here. I don't know why you don't remember it.
I know.
Does this person have South
You-
Park eyes? Holy
I
shit.
have
Wait, do they
terrible
have South
memory.
Park
We all
eyes?
know this.
If I can see. Oh my god!
UGC.
Kitty.
Oh my god.
Wait, this whole time you could have been in third person?
Yeah, but also, fuck third person.
No, use third person plus shift lock. It's way better.
Kill yourself.
That's what it is. Okay.
Nice try.
God.
For parkour, yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
It's like
you
literally
can-
OP.
Oh,
It makes it easier for you to do Abizawa. Listen to him.
Excuse you.
Little treat for
Shut up.
I hated that. Let's never say that.
Nice try.
Me dead forever.
Shift
Timmy.
lock.
Nice try.
Shift lock.
Shift lock, shift
I
lock,
remember this
shift lock,
game.
shift lock,
That's what you sound like.
shift lock, shift lock.
Shut up.
Look at me for 30 minutes. Shut up.
Shut up. You should die.
Shift lock.
No
We
one.
even reach 100 meters.
Nice
I don't want to
try.
hear it.
I'm gonna leave this game.
Finally,
probably a good idea.
jeez.
Please.
I'll save it for later though.
What?
Save it for later.
Delete it.
Totally didn't click favorite.
How are you gonna delete a Roblox game?
I don't
Oh
know.
my god, I found another one.
Please don't join
What?
it. We need to wait here for another hour.
I found another one.
Please don't.
Another
You
one.
did?
Yeah.
That's a different game?
Yeah.
Looks like you're gonna have to, okay. Yep, you already did it.
Oh, damn
You
it.
got a badge on entry. Look at that.
Oh. Damn, I don't care. Oh. This lady. I don't like you. No, go away.
Is it the same person?
Yeah.
Who are you?
That's an excellent question.
I have to pay for them.
Maybe
Oh,
you
the
have to.
prostitutes.
What?
I have to buy women. Is that what
That's
I'm?
not what
Is
you
that
might
what I'm
hear.
understanding here? Who are you? Who are you, huh? Also, purchase. An in-game purchase. Great! Yippee! What are
Why
you?
is Mel spamming me?
I think it's a shop.
Sai, what can I get you? The fuck out of here. There's not even a response option. Customizable sign?
Why is it the first thing you did?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Okay, this game is pretty fun. Balls.
Circumference.
Hell yeah, boy.
Go to the house.
No.
What's in the house? The stock
Oh.
freeware house.
Nope, you gotta pay.
You have to pay, or is it asking you to teleport?
It's asking me to pay.
Oh, okay, cool. I do actually wonder what happens if you pay. Like, why is that behind the paywall?
This fucker has no head.
That she
So
paid.
no,
Those avatars are so expensive, and they don't even look that good.
And I.
Yeah.
And
Keep
I.
in mind, Tyler, she paid for $100 for that headless head.
She really
so-
said, and I oop.
Plus, the core blocks is really stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
that's
That's it.
so dumb.
My God. That is way too much.
Go in
money.
the barn.
Oh. Level 2. Okay.
Oh, cool. What does that
Okay.
mean?
What?
Level 2 sus?
What am I doing here? Oh, let me guess. Gotta go behind,
Behind the waterfall,
Let
for
me
sure.
guess. Let me guess. Never mind.
Danny, you're a smart man. I'm gonna send you something. I need your help understanding this.
Did you really
Wait,
just call Danny smart?
Did you realize I just joined you?
Smarter than me.
Oh, let me
Fair
find
enough.
you.
Pretty low expectations for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's more of an
Yeah,
insult to
team.
yourself
We all
than
know
anything.
that I'm dumb, so
To figure it out
Can you
too.
just walk off the map?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep. Oh,
Nothing stops you?
I can see
Do
the
you
other.
get that, Danny?
I can see the other.
But
I can see the other thing from here.
Nice. Yeah, they didn't even bother stacking them or anything.
Daniel, I just
Cool.
joined your game. Oh,
Yeah,
never mind.
Or
literally
keeping,
joined
or
Sean and
keeping
then
them
you joined
hidden
me.
from the other perspectives.
wait, y'all joined me? Why did
I
y'all join
joined
me?
you and then Udio joined me.
I have
I'm
5
playing, like,
viewers
the
right now,
worst
and I'm
game ever.
subjecting them to this torture. I am
There's actually 5 viewers.
I am a terrible.
Well, there's
streamer,
4 of
guys.
us. Oh, that's more than 4 of us, actually. But whatever.
Guys, I'm a terrible.
Yeah, your
streamer.
viewers just went away because you kept playing sus games. That's it.
What if I just like kill myself?
That's
On
your
stream?
that's your choice. That is you.
Someone in chat just said, "I quit. I quit. This isn't for me."
Where?
That's
in the
you.
in the game.
Oh,
Oh, there's a role play room.
go to it.
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's like a hardcore police roleplay, right?
I'm
Wait,
holding down
the
E,
GTA
and
Online
it's just
servers?
not doing anything.
You know what? I'll ask Udiel instead because Danny's not responding.
What?
I need to figure out what this means. The thing I sent you.
It's actually an IP logger the moment you touch it.
Uh,
I want
Try the other
because-
rooms, I guess.
We're supposed to be going tomorrow, but
Okay.
Mel needs to
No,
understand the prices.
no way.
okay, so
hold on a
so
minute.
That's
so
ridiculous.
Hold on a minute.
From
They
opening-
spent that
from
many minutes in this
opening-
game.
Sean,
Yeah, but look at the numbers.
Right.
Sean.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How
From
do you pull
opening
that off?
time to 5 p.m.
I don't think they did. I
it
think that's
costs
probably the creator of the game, and they
$3.59
hacked their own
to play games, I
minute
think.
count. Who is this?
And from
more
5
time?
p.m. to like from opening
That's,
time to 5 p.m.
Other
it's
mother
like $4 to like play and stuff. and it costs $3.
Are those
to-
earmuffs or
to rent
headphones? Those
shoes.
headphones are huge.
Okay.
Why is there an option to donate
And then
50,000 Robux? Who
hourly
is doing
rates.
that? Shatter Wizard Money Gang.
I don't know. I don't get the.
Someone
the
really
hourly
donated
rates.
10 bucks
Like,
to
what's
this
the
game.
difference between game rates
Who
and
did it?
hourly rates?
Someone donated 10
I think
bucks.
it's like
Who did?
800 Robux.
I
Other
think-
motherer, apparently.
I feel like I
My
should
gosh.
say we go off hourly rates and each of us brings like $10.
More games.
yeah, but
Or-
are we gonna go
There's a Hall
eat
of
somewhere
Fame.
after?
Yeah, we might go to like Cane's or something.
Imagine
Okay.
it teleported to emergency response.
Because there's a
Liberty
Cane's
County.
right across the street.
Got you. So from opening time to 5 p.m. it is $3.50. It's $4 and something cents.
Why are
For
you
game
planning a
rates.
meetup in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
Because we
Don't
were
do that.
doing this earlier.
Yeah, and Sean is confused.
Yeah,
They're
but
gonna
also,
pull up to these
this is
exact
where we're
coordinates.
going.
But also,
We're-
the city we live in has been leaked several times. So if you say any notable locations,
Yeah, we're not saying any specific place.
We're going to a
We're
drug
talking
deal.
like through pictures. Yeah, we're doing that.
hell yeah,
I mean,
commit
I could
crimes.
easily do
I
this
love
to y'all.
admitting to felonies live on stream.
Say
I
mine.
could easily like date a bunch of locations and have
Say
zero
mine.
repercussions. So, just know that.
Josh, I can say your location too.
Yeah, but that's exact.
Okay.
I'm
Say
hiding from Anna.
Okay, then
Who's that?
Understandable. Finally, someone
Uh,
gets it.
Hold up. Let me ask my sister.
Okay.
Go through the door. Oh. The door actually worked?
Hold on.
Oh, there's a screen. Oh no.
What if I just?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, it's not a screen, it's a window. What do you have in your inventory?
I have a glow stick and the customizable sign. There we go.
Are you locked in that room now?
I think I am. Oh boy. Open music request.
Oh no.
Other,
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you something. Do not open it like to show the stream. But that's what we were talking about, okay?
Okay. Let me. Is it through Discord?
Yeah.
Open it on your phone then.
So are we paying by game rates or hourly rates?
I don't know. We're trying to figure out what means. I feel like we should go off hourly rates and
Yeah, like
like
if we
each
have
of
a
us
set
bring
amount of
10
time we're
bucks.
gonna be there. Hourly rates sounds like it makes the most sense, you know what I mean?
yeah. Because we're gonna be there for like 2 hours, so if each of us brings $10, we could get one of them and then afterwards go over to the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does
Just
enter
make sure
song ID mean?
Roblox audio ID. I have a few of them, by the way, if you want them.
Like what?
Well, they banned all copyrighted music, so it's
Damn it.
just like
Alright.
half
Well,
interesting stuff.
It would get me kicked
It's
off
a-
Twitch
yeah.
anyway, so
No, but they banned anything that isn't by them, basically, which is the
Roblox?
annoying part. Yeah, or by like their associate companies or other companies that have collaborated with them. For example, Monster Cat has collaborated with Roblox,
Wait.
and so
Oh shit, there's another
certain
person here.
audios are allowed. Oh, beat him up. Why did I
Oh,
get
I
a
gotta go.
guitar?
You're leaving?
See ya.
Yeah, I have to go.
Let me
Wait,
see-
oh,
let me see
they're
the
they're
guitar.
typing on their sign. They're writing on their sign. Uh
Let me see the guitar.
oh.
All right, I'm head out.
We got censored. No.
Yes.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
There, so we should probably go with hourly and just get like 2 hours, and then we can go eat afterwards. So like we all bring like $10.
Each of us would bring $10. Okay.
Are we back? Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Nice.
What happened to Daniel?
He left.
Did the stream crash too?
Why?
It got disconnected, but I am back. It's back online.
Okay.
Okay.
In the bot, it'll show up with me. It'll show up with a guy. No camera symbol above. It sounds
Let
like
me
I'm
check
gonna
them.
kill you, is what it sounds like.
Okay. Try it.
A little aggressive, don't you think?
Pee 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 poo poo.
You know I'm
Oh my god,
strapped
he
over.
put a spell on you. Whatever will you do?
Whatever
Oh,
will
you
you
know.
do?
You know, your stream is working
Yippee.
now.
Yippee. I'm gonna just. Yeah, I dropped to 2 viewers because of back-to-back disconnections.
That's hilarious.
No, it's not. It's sad. It's ruining my average viewer count. I might fall below the requirements to get affiliate.
What exactly is Twitch affiliate?
It lets me get paid.
Oh,
Unfortunate.
I'm gonna just search up
bro, really,
sus game
bro,
and see
literally
what
said that
happens.
is crazy.
Twitch literally said, "Hey, we don't want to pay you."
Twitch was just like, hey, L.
Skill
For
issue.
real.
Bozo.
Oh, Germa, great. Doors, but it's sus? Wait,
I'm gonna say no to that.
who did that? Who did that to Rush? Or Seek, I mean. Who did this to Seek?
What happened
I'm
to
playing
the
a
seat?
game where you make films, apparently.
Who did this?
This is what I have so far.
Guys,
What
who
was
did
that?
this? Look at my screen right now. Who did this?
Oh my gosh.
Who
You.
did this? Who is
That's
the
disgusting.
menace who made this?
What in the world is
Spider-Man.
going on there? I'm confused at what's happening.
Bro, it ain't even got the same controls. The controls aren't even pop. No fucking way.
What in the world is going on
I
there?
need to buy a game pass just to walk through the goddamn door. I am not spending 50 Robux on that bullshit. Doors but sus, more like doors but go to hell. Yeah, bro left. Fair enough. Man, this game sucks.
I'm done playing this prison
What is this?
tycoon
What is
game.
this? Let's see what this is.
I've spent way too much time on this.
I'm just playing this obby.
I'm
You're
just
playing
like
an obby? I want to play an
regretting
obby.
every single decision I'm making this stream.
It's alright.
Oh my gosh.
Waiting for an
This
available
whole stream
server.
has
There are
been
32 people online.
so-
Calm down. Goofy goober moment. Guys, on a scale of 1 to
I
10,
have
how
no clue
goofy
what
are
to
you?
play.
Yes.
My goofiness has no scale.
Awesome. That doesn't answer my fucking question.
Yes, it does. It answers it correctly.
No.
What do you mean, not all?
No. Oh boy.
Sir, he got me there. He said, "No."
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right, what have I gotten myself into in this game?
Take a look
Life.
at my screen real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
This is supposedly a movie creator. This is what I have so far.
What are you? What is that?
Don't worry about it too much.
I'm gonna worry about it, bro.
Here's the next image I'm gonna add.
Robux.
Don't feel safe in this. I'm not gonna look at that.
I don't feel safe
I feel
in
like,
Roblox anymore, to be completely honest with you, man.
yeah, we should play something different.
You have
What
5
games do you
rooms. Do what the signs tell you to get what you want.
Oh, I can make
Find the
music.
key card and open the door. Can I fucking open the door? Asshole. Find the key card. Fuck
Oh, I hit
you.
the picture limit. That's a thing? That's kind of annoying. Man,
It
shut up.
probably needs you to buy more pictures.
It probably does, but it's fine. It's probably because I put 10 arrows to simulate nuclear warfare, so.
This game is so unbelievably ass.
You know what? I'm gonna play Riders Republic while y'all are playing cringe Roblox. What are you looking at?
I have no idea.
What is that?
I don't know.
I think you're in
What is
hell.
it having you buy? Does that say don't?
Apparently you can donate to the game.
You're
but I
playing
don't know
Please
why
Donate?
you would.
Or what?
No, I'm not.
What are you doing then?
Reading.
Sussy Hotel Sus.
Wait, these
5.
explosions kind of look like fried chicken
Cat
pieces, I'm not gonna
sus,
lie.
but she's real. Okay, that one's just Sam's Undertale. That is just Sam's Undertale. How'd you get in my apartment? Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt
What the
if you
heck
stayed a
is
little
Cat
while
Sus,
if you
but she's
want.
real.
What are these pictures, man?
I
What?
don't trust you
What
should
is
play
this?
this game on stream.
Me?
No, look at my
Or
stream.
your game? Hold on.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think you should play
Oh.
that.
Yeah, don't
You
play
should.
that.
No, I'm playing the.
Don't play that.
What?
What in the world?
Oh, he's okay.
Uh,
Yep. He's already committed to it.
I've already
That's-
committed to it.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Why is it all the same person? That's my question. It's
What
the
does it
biggest money
say?
farm of all of history.
No fucking way. The laptop has a screenshot of Roblox.
Oh my god, Inception.
We're getting really meta here.
In this game called Notoriety, in one of the banks, there is a in one of the banks, once you get to the back end of
You're not
where
a real
the
person.
vault is, the security camera computers, one of the computers legit just has an image from the exact place you're in the game, but from Roblox Studio.
Huh.
And it's just on the computer.
Okay then. I don't like the soundtrack going on right now.
I don't like anything
I think-
going on right now, to be completely honest with you.
That's fair.
Oh,
I play a racing game, but none of the racing games I have are good.
That's fair.
do all of these games have the same fucking characters? Because
Yeah,
I've seen
probably.
the same fucking... I've seen Anna, I've seen Katrina, I've seen Luna, I've seen Rio.
Hurricane Tortilla,
What
more like
trash?
Hurricane Church.
They all have the same
English.
fucking characters. South Dakota is rents overdue. Okay. Oh, and
South
don't forget
Dakota
to tell
does
him.
exist, doesn't it?
Yeah, Monopoly money doesn't count. Okay, cool. Don't really care. You'll never see it my way. Why?
You mean Canadian money?
Because you aren't me.
You mean Toonies and
Great
Loonies?
conversation, lady. Great conversation. What the fuck? Oh,
And they've ran out of sound
that
effects.
sent me to another
Good.
game. Oh my god.
Oh my god, Inception, blah, blah, English.
What have I gotten
You
myself
okay?
into?
What in the... What type of fanboy stuff is this? Are you okay? You look... distressed.
I am. You say that like you wouldn't also be distressed.
No, I wouldn't actually.
I think you're lying.
Nope.
You're lying to yourself. That's
How do you
not
think
how
I sleep at
clocks
night?
work.
What time did it say?
You can only have one sound effect? Are you serious?
L.
Sucker.
Shut up. I'm trying to make a glorious film right here.
Can I drown? Oh. I didn't even
Do
know
it.
Roblox had swimming animations.
Do it.
What the fuck?
You didn't know that?
No.
You didn't know that?
I guess I never needed... I guess I never needed to actually swim.
Oh, it's because every slide has the same dang sound effect over and over again. That's why. Okay, that would make sense.
Can I kill myself now? Okay, never mind. Guess not. Oh, there's a restroom.
Don't go in there.
Why does the rubber duck have
What
dialogue?
a dog?
Why does the duck have dialogue? Sir Duck. I got kicked out of Untitled Sus game. Great. Okay, I don't care, man. I don't care.
How are you kicked?
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Actually, that's not true, but like...
Okay, let's see what happens if I go to Rio. Attempted to teleport to a place that is restricted.
Is it age restricted?
Alejandro,
it
would you like
is-
to see my movie?
No.
No.
I think it may get him banned.
Luna
Why?
sus.
Because You're reenacting war,
Exactly.
Wait,
no,
okay, no, I
no.
gotta see it now.
dude.
Play it on stream. Play it on stream.
Don't play it on stream.
Okay,
Yeah,
play it
play it
again,
on
play it
stream.
again.
Bet.
You're playing it on stream.
This is such more accurate.
Is that the entire movie?
No, I'm still adding to it. You know, gotta add.
That's. It's just depicting the future for real.
Zam. Alright, who is this? Hi, I'm Luna. It's nice to meet
Another
you.
clip.
Yamama.
Hello. We can talk more and get. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Man,
What
shut
happened?
up.
Kill yourself. Kill yourself. Kill yourself.
It's gotta get. What's it? I can't English. I'm sorry.
Bro climbed me. What?
Huh?
Bro actually just climbed. Wait. Wait. Wait.
Ooh, yeah.
Wait.
Ooh, yeah.
Wait.
Alejandro,
Yeah.
we should do a stream while we're bowling on stream.
Oh, for real?
That'd be really fun.
Oh wait, did you? I actually tried to get into streaming a while ago.
Okay, why we got
have not
Princess
done
Redive
a
here?
stream
Why
at
we got a
all.
Princess Redive thumbnail?
I don't know what that is.
It's an anime. That's the anime where this character's from. I forgot the name of the character, but I remember the name of the anime. That's.
I heard somebody wanted to get shot.
Oh. Okay. Interested in moderating our servers? Not really, no. I'm good, actually. I'm completely okay with not doing that. Stop.
Did I just hear you got mail?
You got mail. You got mail. You got mail.
Oh, that's the in-game music. Oh my
You
gosh.
got mail. You got mail.
You got mail. Porn.
You got
You
mail.
got mail.
Huh?
You got mail.
Is it inverse?
You can only use the preset music, and I can't search on this.
Why
You
is
can
there a
search for sound
Minecraft
effects,
frog
but
here?
not music.
What is the Minecraft frog doing here? Wait, no way. There's a boat. Let me in this. Let me get in this. I have invaded the boat.
W.
What is Somalian pirate?
I'm gonna do a bike race because I'm so bored. Are you actually still preparing for nuclear war?
Yes.
I feel like this is
Hold on, I
something
need a
we
picture of an A10 Warhog.
Okay.
You always gotta have a picture of an 18 world.
I'm so bad
Perfect.
at this game.
Why does Roblox even exist at this point? Genuinely, like what the fuck?
Because children.
Because,
I don't like children.
but we are
Nobody
children.
likes them.
No, not for long.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I won't be a child in December.
Yeah, I know.
And I won't in January.
And I won't in
Wait, I'm
May.
older than you?
Apparently.
Damn.
I'm 17 right now.
Yeah, so I'm older than
Why?
you. Damn.
What is up with my character? What the heck? Oh my! I'm gonna screen record this.
Who is this? Who is this woman?
Oh, I've hit the maximum
mom.
amount of time the film can last for. I think. Yeah, I have. I've reached the maximum amount of frames. Oh wait, no, I can shrink. I can shrink the frames.
Okay.
To exceed
Do you have
the
TikTok?
max.
I do not have TikTok,
Oh.
and I'm not downloading it either.
Okay. I wasn't gonna tell you to download it.
Good, because I wouldn't have done it. All right. Why don't we actually play Ultimate Hide and Seek? Because that sounded fun.
Finally,
I'm too
you're
busy.
back.
I'm doing my film. It's too late.
I will join after y'all play a few rounds because I'm doing a race right now.
I'm actually making a excellent movie.
I'm ready to
So-
join.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you should watch it when it's done.
Is it Hide and Seek?
It feels like a hate
Extreme?
crime too,
Is
dude.
that
So.
Oh, I remember this game
Yeah.
actually. I do remember
Yeah, it's
this
hide
game.
and seek, but with countries. It's great.
I do remember this game actually. I have played this game before. Just several years ago.
I hit a wall.
Yeah, it's this game. I remember it now.
Okay,
Yeah,
I went off the cliff.
yeah, I
Awesome,
remember it.
awesome.
Joining right now.
Gotta add a Harrier joke.
Oh, what?
A Harrier joke. Because now the British are involved. We're about to British all over them.
Time for British.
I'm about to buzz.
I am in 12th place. I'm restarting this.
I'm in.
Oh
pink.
my God! Look at this guy's avatar.
What the heck?
What is what? Oh my God!
It's
What is he?
That
Gru
Bryan
combined
Cranston, I
with
guess.
Joe Biden?
no, that's Bryan
Joe
Cranston,
Biden,
I believe.
baby.
I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's supposed to be Bryan
Did he just
Cranston
wave?
or Walter White from Breaking Bad.
He's waving.
Where would you
Sniper.
find... Never mind.
Where would you find these nuts? In your mouth. Ha!
Your mom.
Yum 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 yum.
No.
Lamau. It. Oh, this is the fucker. This is the guy.
He is him.
Yup. I'm just wondering where all those 8
Oh, that's
viewers
a tree.
went, and also who they were.
Maybe they went to... I'm not gonna say that.
If all of you
Afghanistan.
don't, if all of you, Jesus Christ, if all of you don't keep my stream open in the background, I'll cry.
It's in the background. I'm listening to you twice in a row.
Just mute
mute
the
it.
audio.
I'm
Yeah,
dumb.
you don't have to.
I don't know
Yeah.
how to do that, and it's on my phone.
It is
There
running in the
should be. There
background.
should. Yeah. There should be.
It's in the
on
it's
your.
in the bottom left.
Yeah, on the bottom left.
That doesn't help me, plus I'm racing right now, so I can't really do anything about it.
Bro's playing Asphalt 8.
No, I'm playing Riders Republic.
Asphalt 9 actually has
What?
support for steering wheel.
Does it actually?
Yeah.
Okay, Alejandro, would you like to see the pretty much finished product?
I closed your stream because it was blowing up my ears. But all right.
Oh, my bad.
Should I stream this?
I am 44% done with this.
I'll stream it.
Do you
How?
feel? Do you feel like the terrorist?
Huh?
That's what the point of the mask is. That's the point of the mask.
playing
Awesome.
Minecraft?
Great.
Up there.
Publish. Are you sure you
It's-
want
it's
to
done,
publish?
Alejandro.
Yes. Published. I published it. I don't know if it's gonna show up. Oh, you can see other people's films. You guys want to watch movies? Look. Alright, the next
Later.
film is coming out. No, look at this.
I don't want to watch movies. I want to play fucking hide and seek ultimate.
Especially since they're made by children.
I want to play hide and seek extreme.
I died!
Oh, mine is
Oh,
on now.
Dude, that was so close.
Mauricio.
My movie is on the screen.
777. Mauricio
Alejandro, there you are.
777.
Somebody called it a masterpiece.
Why can't I move?
Because
Oh.
of me.
No, it was because I wasn't focused on
What
the
if you just
Roblox
got
window.
raided right now?
That would be really funny, actually.
Just
Actually,
got
very
500
humorous
viewers.
indeed.
I finished the race! I got first place.
Awesome.
Hooray. Huzzah.
Win on expert or higher, don't break. What do you mean
Alejandro,
don't
I'm
break?
just gonna follow you.
It's crazy.
Oh, you're in here! I
Okay.
didn't even real.
Yeah, I'm following you, man.
Great. Somebody just put a jump scare on their film.
Bro, I
I
hope I
had
hope
no
it isn't
idea
watching
my
my stream.
character,
Oh, I
like-
just went up to 5 viewers. Okay.
I'm a part of those.
What is
Was
this?
that Darth Vader? Oh, wait, he's...
That bike
Take a
is
cookie.
beautiful.
Bye.
I'm
Somebody
totally
got.
using that.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Bye.
Yep. I just witnessed Rick Astley commit murder.
Bye.
Alejandro, we gotta stay together.
Oh
We gotta
my
survive
gosh.
this.
Bye.
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 Beep, 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 cow.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, what?
Bro left. He left the
okay.
game.
That was
Stuck
so
couldn't find
random.
nobody.
Bro gave up.
It was only a minute only passed and he gave up.
Dude gave up so quick. Oh, the workshop again. Who's gonna be it? Who's it? Who's gonna be the Who's gonna be the gamer? Who's the gamer this time? Who's the
Imagine
gamer?
it's out there.
That'd be really funny.
Oh,
No, it's
Oh, it was
Visible
so- it was
96.
so close.
Why does
Yeah.
Mario have a gun?
Close.
Why does Mario have
It
a?
was
Okay,
almost
Mario.
me.
Mario. Get on this game.
Oh,
man.
I'm
It is
back.
So dumb.
Okay,
he's
I'm
back.
back.
Yeah, you're back.
That was the
Dude,
shortest disconnection I've had ever.
your Wi-Fi quick revived.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. I yoinked that coin.
No, I got it.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-uh.
Wow, it got quiet.
We gotta go somewhere. He's behind us.
Somebody just put Jesus as one of their
Oh,
movies,
no,
and
never
I
mind, that's
approve
just
of
somebody
that.
else.
What?
The game's called Extreme Hide and Seek, right?
Hide
Yeah.
and Seek Extreme by Tim Four
Oh.
Numbers.
Dude, Alejandro,
Oh,
you
yeah,
gotta
I
get
see it.
out of there, man. Somebody's getting the. Wait, where'd you go?
I think my
That's part
Roblox
of the
is broken.
secret.
I'm gonna restart my Xbox.
Oh, there you are.
Yep. Hidden. Hidden indies.
Did you look up like a top 10 secret spots in Ultimate? Like,
No, when
Hide
I
and
was
seek?
spectating earlier, they were in this map and I saw someone hiding here. So,
got you, got you.
basically, I'm God.
Oh.
To-do list, your mother. I love my shirt, by the way.
What is it? Oh,
Oh, wait, you
That's
can
cool.
spectate it as you're hiding.
that's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. He's still in the box.
Dude, stupid.
I think he's stuck there.
Bro can't play the game.
What is he doing?
I don't know.
I bet he rage quits.
No, he's just
Well,
standing
someone
there.
already died.
I
He already
know.
managed to get someone out, unless they left.
He's
But
he's standing. Oh,
he
he left. Wait, Sean,
I
join quick.
called it. Oh, I was restarting my Xbox, so I probably won't be able to.
Ah,
Oh, you have a lot of open slots. I'll probably be able to get in.
Yep.
that's the point of the mask.
That's what the
Real
mask
quick.
is.
Penguin Knight,
That's
who are
what
you?
the point of the mask is. And all
Come
that
on,
they can
Alejandro,
ask
Alejandro.
is,
Let it be Alejandro.
why are you so sad?
Dude, people
kid?
picking jump scares is so
Alejandro.
dumb.
Alejandro.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude.
What a bruh
It was-
moment.
Anytime.
Dude, that was almost me.
The guy after you twice in a row.
I know. Come on, Alejandro, let's get out of here. Okay.
Motherfucker.
Hi.
Wait, there's a pet right here.
Shut up.
Hi. Hi. Bye.
Hi.
Hi.
We sound like parents waking up their child. Hi.
You sound like
That,
Ruby.
was that the Naruto?
Oh
where'd
yeah,
you go?
it does sound like Ruby. Fuck, you're right. Ew. Starts
I have
crying.
now ruined that for everybody.
You have. You're a master ruiner. You're a master at ruining
Yeah.
things. And I hate you for it.
Want an example? My
Nuh-uh.
life.
Zam.
My life.
I don't
my
remember
rules.
asking.
Exactly.
Got all 3 coins, you bitch.
Okay.
I'm gonna get all these 3 as well.
Greedy much? Oh yeah, I was gonna get my hair done for tomorrow, but I think I'm just gonna have it curled by my mom and then be
Udiel, why are
done.
you trying to climb on me?
No, not.
Oh,
Stop, you're gonna push me off.
it still doesn't let me join. I genuinely think it's because it's my Xbox.
Oh, Alejandro, 911, 911.
What? What?
I'm joining.
On the top right hand corner.
Never mind.
9/11.
Yo, 9/11 moment.
That's my favorite holiday.
Same.
I'm sorry.
I'm
It's a
not.
great time to celebrate. Wait, where are they?
Never forget.
Oh shoot, Alejandro, they're in the attic.
No shit. The entire map is the attic.
No, I mean, like where we are.
No, they aren't.
Oh wait, no, never mind. Oops.
Bro can't
Uh-uh.
spectate properly.
I just didn't. Oh, there he
They're
is.
down there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see him.
Literally, it was my Xbox. I couldn't play with y'all because my Xbox was being dumb.
So your Xbox was just like, no.
Exactly.
Damn.
That's cool.
Hey, how did y'all say to turn off audio on the
Shit.
stream?
I think the
Oh
bottom
no,
left.
he found me.
It?
He found it. Found me, and he's probably following me. He's coming up here,
Oh, okay.
Alejandro. Get
Nope, he's
down.
coming. He's coming. Shit. Shit. Nope. 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 No. No.
He's right here.
Fuck.
Run.
You're a dick. You're a dick. You let him
No,
here.
he got me. I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to.
Yes, you did.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to.
Fuck you.
Okay,
Frick.
God.
He's here. And it's your fault. I hate you. I hate you, Udio.
I'm sorry.
I hate you. You got me killed. You
It
got
was
me
an
killed.
accident.
and I'm going to do the same to you one day.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm in y'all's game, by the way, just so you know.
I accept
The
my
person
fate.
who's it looks so goofy.
I I love
That
shattering
was me
my
just now, just so you
finger
know.
bones.
Oh, are you okay? Go cry about it? I'm sorry.
Wanna be goosey about it.
Bro's just too good at this. Are you kidding? Bro is just cracked.
It
It's
really
so
is.
cringe.
Bro is just cracked at the game. No
I don't
way
know.
Captain Underpants
He
is
was
in
stuck there
here.
for a
No
while.
way they have
Really?
an actual Captain Underpants book in the game.
That's pretty cool.
Heh, he lost.
Bebés in Arturin.
Oh my god, it took so
Oh yeah,
long
fix
to
that pop
select the
filter.
map.
The stream has almost been going for 3 hours.
New
Oh, that's so
record.
I'm back.
You're good.
Yep.
Alejandro.
What?
At this point, just like get a big Ethernet cable and just connect it to your computer.
Yeah.
They're repeating though.
Okay, what I was going to say. Hello?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you. You're not dead this time.
Alright, what I was going to say
You're good.
before my internet so rudely fucking interrupted me was that the Ethernet thing wouldn't work because whenever my internet goes out, it affects the entire house, not just my computer.
Oh.
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 Yeah, it's that big of a problem.
What type of like internet do you have?
Spectrum.
Dude, same. And my internet is not dog shit like yours.
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh,
It
I
didn't
think he's
used to be-
coming for me.
It didn't used to be dog shit. It only started being dog shit after we got a new router.
Oh.
He's coming for me.
But your router has a virus on it, Bring.
Or we just have a shitty router now.
Yeah.
No, your router is uploading all of the data to a satellite backbone in China.
It really is. What's with the tapping? Oh.
I did it. I survived.
Am I back in the game with you guys?
I left. I
You
can
Oh,
join
guys
back.
suck.
I can join
I
back.
didn't leave. I'm still here.
Oh, I didn't actually. I'm not actually in a server with any of you guys. So
Hold up, I'm joining.
no.
I'll join you.
I'm gonna
English.
join all of you.
Okay.
I am joining the server that Sean is in.
Cool.
I find it funny that Roblox isn't on Nintendo Switch.
Is it actually not?
It's not on Nintendo Switch.
Good call by Nintendo.
I don't think it was Nintendo's decision, honestly.
Nah.
Yeah.
Although it's entirely
Yeah,
possible that
no,
it could
it-
have been.
No, it was their decision because they decided to put such garbage hardware that the Roblox can't even run on it.
Not even Roblox.
Well, okay,
That's
no, I
crazy.
don't. If it can run Doom Eternal, I think it can run Roblox. I don't think
And
that's
also
the
security
issue.
You'd be surprised how unoptimized Roblox is, especially
Guys,
for consoles.
guys,
Roblox doesn't even run well on Xbox One.
guys, it's 12 a.m.
Yep.
We're starting our FNAF shift.
Dude,
Oh
I
shoot!
swear this dude keeps on buying me it.
Why does Mel keep
Also,
leaving and rejoining?
Maybe
I don't know.
maybe
I
her,
think she's trying
maybe
to
her
do
like
stuff.
microphone isn't working or something.
Ah, okay.
Hey Mel,
Mel?
Melody, can you hear us?
I'm gonna check my DMs just in case she messaged me because I'm not
Same.
sure if she has or not. She hasn't.
Oh look, it's more Captain Underpants.
Oh my god,
Captain Undercock.
Captain Choro.
Alright, while I hide, I'm going to go get ice cream.
Ice cream.
Midnight ice cream time.
Yes.
Let's
Well,
go.
it is just
That
staying
won't cause
still.
issues.
It is hot at night right now.
Is it actually?
Yes, it is like it's like
Wonder what
85
it's at for me.
degrees. It's like 85 degrees right now.
Here.
Dude, I'm like a bug flattened on the wall. There's no way he sees me.
Pretty obvious to see a bug on a wall.
Yeah, you see me, right? Oh, he sees me. He's not even gonna go for me.
Apparently, Mel, it says that she's like disconnected and has no route.
Uh-oh.
I told her to like restart her Discord.
Restart your router, bro.
Are you kidding me?
No way. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was
Okay, I was
like,
about to say.
I was so confused.
I'm like, that guy's an idiot. Where are you?
I'm up at the
How'd you
bike.
get up here?
You see me, right?
Yes, I see you. Oh, you took the bike. Okay.
Yeah, I just climbed up the bike.
Mel?
Um,
I'm back.
Melly
I
Mel.
think I fixed it. I think I fixed it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. No, that worked.
Wait, did I get got?
I'm a fixer.
Yeah.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I told you how to
Are you guys
fix it.
still playing Roblox?
Yeah?
Yeah.
We've
We're
been
playing
playing
Ultimate
Roblox
What are you
for the
playing?
past several hours.
Alejandro.
Yeah?
It has not even been out.
The seeker walked
Yes, it
past
has.
you the first time, and then he saw
Yeah.
you, and me and Sean were like, no way, he didn't see him.
I was like, oh, Alejandro got. And then he walked by you, and I was like,
Yeah, he walked
what?
by you.
That's awesome.
You see me on the wall?
I do.
Yes, you.
Like, I'm just standing there, and he has
Yeah.
not seen me yet.
Dang.
Oh yeah, no, there he is.
Are you streaming again, Ali?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing a 24-hour stream.
Realness.
We're gonna get the
Sleep stream. Sleep
bowling
stream.
tomorrow too. We don't need sleep. What are you talking about?
Yeah, even though we're probably
I've
gonna go
never
bowling
been bowling
tomorrow.
before.
Ever?
I thought you said you've never been
No.
bullied before, and I was like,
Shut up!
yeah.
You suck.
I've been
Oh,
bullied.
I think he's seen me. I think he's seen me.
Yeah, I think so. Oh wait, no, actually,
Good,
Ain't
No,
you
no
got.
way.
no, he doesn't see you.
There's no way.
This guy's an idiot.
I
Oh, he
I've
just
been
stopped.
bowling, but I haven't been bowling in such a long time that I
Me
wanted to
too.
do it with some
The last
friends.
time I bowled was like years ago. Oh wait, he's back.
Alejandro?
Ale, ale.
Who's here?
Alejandro.
I hate everything.
Uh oh. Mel.
Mel,
Mel.
Mel, Mel. Oh,
And you're
got
dead.
you. Sean, I think we should run.
Not yet. Not yet.
I bet I didn't even
Leave
get
it
added
be.
into y'all's game, did I? Nope. No, of course.
Sean.
You saw me breaking her ankle, so.
Yeah, true.
Oh.
Alejandro, are you live?
Barely.
Ah, okay. What are you doing now?
Attempting to join you guys.
Got you.
Keyword attempting.
Keyword.
Because clearly it's not fucking going too well.
Ah.
How am I still at 4 viewers? Who the fuck is watching this?
Your mom.
I hope not.
Oh,
I'm not supposed to be awake right now. So,
really?
yeah. But also it's summer. And they haven't really been as strict about it during the summer as they usually are, like during school. Like they're usually much more strict about it during the school year.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That's up inside. But especially since we're seniors this year, what? We get to do anything we want.
Hell yeah, baby.
Hell yeah, baby. Wait, did you change your name to Alabongo the Wise?
Nope. Someone else did that for me. It was either Jacob or Angelina. They're the only two people with a role higher than me.
Me too.
And I'm pretty sure it was Angelina. Because Jacob was already asleep when that name got changed. So.
Yeah, I don't know why Jacob's parents still give him like a curfew.
It's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Oh?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Jeez,
What
that's
did you guys both
so long.
leave?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
were
we
both
can
of
hear
you
you.
not with both of you not talking?
Sorry, I had to
No,
deafen because I had to take a call.
Oh,
L.
okay.
my phone's being really dumb.
Oh, okay. We're getting hunted by a chicken.
Like my
Uh,
service. I'm gonna sneeze.
I'm
Bless you.
not playing
Bless
right
you.
You
now
know?
because I'm
Bless you.
gonna eat, but I'll still
Bless
talk to
you.
y'all.
Cool.
Wait, Alejandro, where'd you go? Oh, there you
On.
go.
What's the game?
No?
We're playing hide and seek extreme.
Real nice.
I know. I was playing with you earlier.
Well, Melody was asking.
Oh,
Silly boy.
That sounds really funny.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't like
ultimate
being
spy.
called that.
Yeah, like in a bad
Alejandro,
way.
look where I am.
Where?
He's in the walls.
Oh
He's in the
my
trash
god.
can.
Oh
Oh,
my
oh.
god. Oh my god.
He's in
Mel,
the
are your
wall.
lights still out?
Huh?
Are your lights still out?
Yeah.
Oh, how's that?
Wait, my lights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how is that?
It's okay. I'm kind of confused.
Okay.
What
What?
lights, Shoddy? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, because earlier you said your lights went out.
Oh, yeah, it was my cats. They were
Oh.
messing with like they were fighting, but they hit the button on the outlet and they turned off.
Oh, okay.
Somebody is crunching, bro.
It's
Crunching on
Sean.
the munchies.
Sorry,
It's
What are
I'm
you eating?
taking. I'm making
it's
food. I'm
okay.
making some pancakes.
Why are you making pancakes at
At
12 in the
midnight?
morning?
Why are you
Why
judging
wouldn't you?
me?
No, honestly,
Why are
don't
you
judge them. It
judging me?
sounds
Huh?
yummy.
Why are you judging me?
Yo, you got enough pancakes for the stream?
Yeah,
I
dude.
just got some pancakes, so maybe.
You gotta have enough pancakes to share with us and the 4 viewers.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
You can share with us. It's okay.
I'm making food for me, myself, and I.
Fair enough.
Oh, Alejandro.
Yeah.
It's
Plus,
here.
it is
It's here.
midnight.
It's here.
Alright. I don't care.
What? Oh, it's here. Dude,
Yeah.
he's like the shit man right now. He's brown. Oh,
What
it's a
is he?
bear.
The
Oh.
shit
What's
man.
that supposed to mean?
Oh. You said he's the shit man because he's brown.
What? Okay, clarification. He looks like that.
Wait, do you
Looks like
remember that
what?
episode? Do you remember that episode of like Amazing World of Gumball where like they were being taught safety and like the teacher showed them that video?
I still have never seen Amazing World of Gumball.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
You
come
need to
on.
change
I'm
that.
sorry. Amazing Gumball's so good.
You need to find God.
That
I've
show
seen
is
a few
still one of my
episodes.
favorite shows, even after
Isn't
I
it-
first started watching it 12 years ago. 12 years
Isn't
ago.
it?
Holy
Isn't it getting a
shit.
movie?
Ow! Oh, I'm gonna
Mitten.
cry.
What happened?
My kittens are fighting on top of my back.
Oh,
Can you believe that The
Harsh.
Amazing World of Gumball came out 12 fucking years ago?
I
No,
cannot.
I can't. It is literally
Huh.
insane.
I don't.
I am unable to
Skill issue.
believe that the fact that it has come out 12 years ago. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna start crying and then I'm gonna cry more and I'm gonna.
I
Ow!
think the older I get, the less I comprehend the passage of time.
I know.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
that happens with
like people are
almost
saying
everybody.
2017 was 7 years ago. Like, no, it wasn't. You're stupid.
It was actually 6 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, are you
What?
serious?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
It's 2023. 2023 minus 6 is 2017.
Ale, quick question. Can you please Good.
Ooh,
Hello?
yeah.
We have Mega.
Guys, I have news.
What
Hello?
might the news be?
So, not only does every device in my house get disconnected from the internet, but my phone also goes to shit as well. SOS
Bro,
only.
I think my phone broke too, because like everybody stopped talking and I got worried.
Yeah.
My phone. It broke again.
Yeah, I noticed.
Brokey.
I'm going to start crying.
Hi, Ghost. Why are you whining, huh? Why are you whining? I'll be right back.
Okay, bye. Broken.
Ooh, my parents are back
Alejandro?
from seeing
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Are you back now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was
What
like, because I
happened?
already told him it broke.
Yeah. That text was supposed to be sent 10 minutes ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's how badly the Wi-Fi is. The service is shit itself.
Hi.
Julio, get back in here.
Okay.
Oh, guys, they have
All,
Roblox Among Us.
all he's doing
You
is
want that
staring
one?
at the wall. Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
You guys stopped talking and I thought it broke again.
Dude, same. I thought it broke again.
Ba-da-bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dun, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-bum,
Da 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 da
You guys know it's ice cream man music?
da 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 da. Elmo's
Elmo's
World.
World.
Who the hell is this?
Da
It's
da da da
Sokka.
da da
Looks like
da da.
Sokka.
Elmo's
Elmo's
World.
World.
Where?
Somebody once told me the world was gonna
World's
roll
gonna-
me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the
Well,
years
the
start
years
coming and
are
they don't
coming and
stop
they don't
coming.
stop coming.
Back to the
Back
rules
to
and
the
hit the
rules
ground
that
running.
the ground
Didn't
running.
make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your
You
head
sound
gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets?
scary.
You never know if you don't glow. You never shine if you don't glow.
Wait,
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on. Go
wait, does
play.
anybody
Hey
hear
now,
me? Because I
you're
don't want
a
to know.
rock star. Get the show on.
Yeah,
Get
I can hear you, Udio.
paid, and all that glitters is gold. Only shooting
Guys,
stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. Bundled up now, wait till you get older, and the media men beg to differ. Judging by the hole in the satellite picture, the ice we skate is getting pretty thin. Water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on. Go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on. Get paid, and all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the
Hear
mold.
you. Can you hear me?
hit this guy.
Hello?
Yeah?
Somebody wants to ask, could I spare some change for cash?
Can you get copyrighted for this song?
Get myself away from this place. I said, yep, what a concept. I could use a little fuel myself, and we could all use a little change. Well, the years start coming, and they don't stop coming. Back to the rules when I hit the ground running.
Alejandro?
Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain
Alejandro?
gets smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets?
Alejandro?
Never know if you don't go. You never shine if you don't glow. Hey now.
Alejandro?
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm just like wondering, can you get copyrighted for this song?
First of all, I'm not good enough to trick the system into thinking it's the actual song.
Gotcha.
I'm not even trying to sing well, so if I was trying, that'd be a different story.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Melody said that I sang decently. Did I break again? I'll start
No,
crying.
it's...
Oh, thank fuck.
Oh, hey, now.
Where did the other two go?
I don't know. I caught her.
Yeah, I'm not in the game anymore.
I don't know why Mel stopped that. Oh, I think her thing is not working again.
Ooh it.
When? Are you gonna get a new router?
Probably. Because as soon as it started affecting my parents, they immediately caught on to the problem. When it was just affecting me and my brother, they didn't give a shit, but... You know.
Yeah.
It started affecting them, and they were like, oh, guys, we need to get this shit fixed.
Alright, guys, we need to group together and pitch in to get something new. What is that noise?
That was me hitting my desk.
That sounds.
Out of pure rage. Pure primal rage.
Wow, I am hunting these people down.
What's the weirdest thing I could type in the Roblox search bar?
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey, what's the weirdest thing I could type in the Roblox search bar?
Hentai.
Faggot or Faggot.
Yeah, we're gonna go to
That
Kane's
will
tomorrow.
not. That will be blocked out. I'm saying something that
Well,
will
Sorry, Mel,
not
that I
be
got you.
triggered. That will not trigger the Roblox filter.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh.
I'm gonna type in hell.
If you find something good, tell us. We'll play it.
I found Tower of Hell, which you know.
Oh, that was not that fun.
Sure, that one's a fun one. Oh, do you think you could take me to Dave and Buster's after we're done?
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
You.
I don't drive.
When are you gonna be picked up?
I frankly have no idea because Call of Duty.
Oh, Call of Duty, but like Call of shit.
Guys, Call of Booty.
Who?
Call of Roblox.
What are these people?
What?
Guys, we should play Call of Roblox.
Not happening.
Fuck you for saying that. God!
What happened?
I heard gunshots immediately as I joined the game.
That's terrifying.
But also completely
Let's go.
expected, so.
Oh, there's only one
Hey
hider.
guys,
and I
hey
can't find
guys.
him.
Hey guys.
What do you
Dang it.
want?
You know how you guys are my friend?
Yeah?
Huh?
Yeah.
You
Wait,
know
what'd
how
you
my
say?
birthday's coming up?
No?
Didn't know
You
that.
do know my birthday's coming up.
I know, I was lying, I did know.
You guys gonna buy me something for my birthday, right? I'm kidding.
Is
You
this
can literally just give me a
negotiation?
rock.
Would a hug
I'll
work?
I'll paint a rock.
Rocks.
I'll put googly eyes on it.
Realness.
If I like just don't beat the crap out of you, would that work?
No, because you'll still hit me anyways. It hurts. I hate you.
Birthday puncher, sorry.
What about a hug?
That's fine.
What was the evil scooch in the
okay.
background?
Guys,
And leave
Why
or
is
just
that?
end stream?
and leave.
Oh, okay.
Sad
Okay.
face.
Sad face, indeed.
I hope we see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Text
Good
me.
luck with that.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know if you can go.
Literally text me first. Me first.
What do you mean? I planned it. What do you mean text?
Well, okay.
you
To be
first?
fair, I don't
It's
have
'cause I'm
Sean's
cooler than
number,
you.
so
Yeah, text me
Just
first.
text me on Discord.
And I'll
Or
tell him.
text me your number. Text me your
I
number.
can't access
No.
Discord from my phone after 11:07 because
Well,
my phone locks down. Anyway,
oh.
goodbye stream. Mwah.